All right, I'm here, guys. I'm hiding because Enzo Bear, how's it going? Um, I'm hiding because my wife is hosting bunco night over here, and I don't, I don't know how to play bunco. I'm not invited. I'm not one of the women. So there's a whole large group of women downstairs playing bunco, and I don't know what bunco is. I think it's some kind of dice game. So it's they're rolling down there like it's a opium den. All right. Anyways, let's get to what I'm working on today, which is I'm going to update this presentation that I have. I gave this presentation last year, and I'm going to do an updated version of it for this year. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take notes as I go. I'm going to give you guys kind of the rundown of the presentation as I did it when I first did it last year. And then I'm going to probably take some notes of how I want to update things. Because I have ideas on what I kind of want to fix in here and stuff. But yeah, this is a presentation I gave for the Professional Linux Users Group about like why engineering? Why do we want to get into engineering? Why is Linux, as it were, such a good facility for us to do engineering on as a platform? But I made this. I decidedly made this very. I decidedly made this very neutral to what we were talking about. It was just engineering, right? So this is going to be that. But I kind of want to update it and make it much more robust for this next run through it. So we'll go through it, and then I've got my notes, right? Notes ready to pop up for me as I go. So if anybody wants to hang out with me while I do it, if you guys want to ask me questions, I've got all the Linux in the world right here. So just let me know what you guys want to look at, and I'll try to tell you whatever I can. What's going on here? All right, anyways. So why engineering? By me to ProLUG last year. We're going to do an updated version of it. All right, let's go for it. So a little about me. We don't have to go into too much of this now, but some of you guys have known this stuff about me. Look at that. When I did this last year, we were at 2,300. This year, we're over 3,800 already. So that'll be a fun one to update. So let's see. Is any of this stuff? I might also put like slide too, but I'm going to lose track of the slides, so that's not going to be as important to me, I don't think. All right. Anyways, all right. So I have a book, all that stuff. So that's all about me. Okay, that's good. So why engineering, right? Like as a thing. Hey, Bottleneck, how's it going? Check over on YouTube. For the labs, are we supposed to submit the answers or only meant for building experience? Cheat code, it depends which thing you're working on. Are you talking about the labs for the, are you doing security engineering, or, let me just tell you either way, hold on. If you go here and then you drop into the ProLUG projects and the labs and stuff that are coming out of there, you are going to turn them in at the end if you want to get the certificate, yes. But I guess it depends. You're going to turn them all in at once at the end to me. Linux security, yeah, you're going to turn them all in at the end. So them and the worksheets, yep, everything. Do it as one big project if you can. Turn it as one big thing. That's best. All right. So, why engineering? So, in here, all right, this is, let's do, I'm going to add, where's this thing at? Hold on, sorry. We're going to do simple communication model. We're going to do, and if you guys don't know the simple communication model, It's the 5 components that are required for communication to occur. Yeah, Enzo Bear, we're real close to 4,000. Yeah, we just hit 3,800 the other day, so hopefully by the time we get to that, I'll update this one last time, and we'll be at, you know, not quite doubled, but we'll hopefully be close to double that. Anyway, so okay, so science explains the way the world works. Sure, make an observation, ask a question, form a hypothesis, make a prediction, test a prediction, and then iterate. And then I'll point out that, so then I'll say in here, and after scientific explanation, engineering maps processes as they cycle. We'll do simple communication model. I'm trying to think of, I had some other ideas the other day, so now I got to kind of sit here and think about them while I talk to you guys about what other things that I want to add to that are kind of, let me think. What other things would I kind of want to do? Well, no, we don't need the other stuff here because it's still ramping up, but see what other ones I have down here. Hold on. Troubleshoot. Secure. So we can teach and understand. That's true. Variability. Checkpoint. Troubleshoot. Granularity. I wonder if I have this. I do have this as a like the outline of it, because I might need to. Engineering puts us into repeatable practice. Yeah. So simple communication model has those 5 components. We can draw those out. Okay, that's fine. Let's see what other things. All right, so why engineering? Because it's not being a doctor. You don't have to look at people's feet and stuff, or in their ear, nose, and throat. And it's not being a lawyer. Those amuse me, by the way. So why do we pick engineering, right? Because it's still one of those professions, but it's not one of those two, right? But why engineering? Like, businesses run on repeatable, accurate processes. Deming said, if you can't describe everything you do as a process, you don't know what you're doing. And then Peter Drucker said, if it can be measured, it can be improved. And then Dutch very famously said, if you guys know who Dutch is, if it can bleed, we can kill it. Which is actually pretty astute for a guy whose job is just to kill things, right? Kill things and extract people, right? All right, so why engineering? There you go. And then why engineering? Because with engineering, we build engines or systems that cycle. Consider this example of an 8-function cycle. Feeding, chambering, locking, firing, unlocking, extracting, ejecting, and cocking. Now, whatever that thing is, it's going to function a certain way, right? So we can understand that engines always input, process, and output things, and then we can track the inputs between things. So one of the things I might put in here, maybe I'll put, so I've got, I need to get rid of a couple things. Hold on. This can go away. And probably this for now can go away. Oh, let me make sure I've saved that. Yeah. Okay. And then, so on this page, so hold on, I need to get rid of one more thing. Sorry, Zorro. All right. So let's pull this up, and we'll say, what the hell? All right. Again, I need to see if I can get display settings. Can we get I know they're showing it on the other screen. Yeah, that's definitely from the movie Predator. On the other screen, I just don't want it up, but I could have the um, information. Anyways, 8 function cycle. So on this one, so for this first cycle page, let's say on the first cycle page, put in swim lanes. So if you guys aren't familiar with swim lanes, I think I have in one of my other presentations, I think I have a swim lanes drawing. It's not in HPC, it's not in technical. I literally was just, oh, I know I have it. It's in the Linux Systems Administration course, and it's right near the end. It's one of these last presentations I did. Yeah, it was this one. It is this one. Alright, hold on. Let me go grab my swim lanes out of here. Nope. Must be in week 15. You guys have seen this presentation before, so we don't. I know there's. Here it is. So it's the SIPOC drawings. I hate it when it literally won't let me see my thing. So, all right, let's go right here. We'll just add in insert table, and it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Modify this down here like this, and I'll play with this later, but I'll clean that up later. I'm not too worried about it. Don't save that. Do save this. Go back over here. All right. Well, we'll fix that later. What that looks like, guys. But all right. So there's that. Y engineering. It'll be that. I'm gonna clean that up and put that as part of the input process output. Like we can define those things and then we can make them better. We can track things as they come in and out. All right, so to teach and understand, we can understand each piece of it. Teaching and understanding is a huge part of why we model systems. Everything is just mystified until we demystify it and we pull things back, right? So that's good. We'll leave that. I'm kind of thinking through this as I go. We can report output for variability, and that gives us things like improvements, upper and lower control limits, tracking histograms. This is a histogram, so I'm going to say add a histogram so that people understand it. Okay. Add in the you might say, why aren't you just doing it? Well, because it's hard to, it's annoying to do that while you're actually in a presentation. Like I can't just go at it. I have to leave it like I did earlier. So, okay. So we understand that, and then we can have our upper and lower control limits, and then I might add another slide after this. That is, so add a slide. about accuracy and accuracy and consistency. Let me go look this up. There it is. Yeah, it's the accuracy versus precision discussion. That's not consistency, it's precision. So we'll have that little talk about what it means to be accurate and precise, what it means to be accurate but not precise, what it means to be not accurate but precise, and what it means to be not accurate nor precise. Those are 4 different things that kind of exist, and they kind of exist as this. People often use something like, oh, great, an ad. They kind of typically exist in something like this: accurate and precise, accurate but not precise. They're accurate but they're not, or they're not accurate but they are precise, and they're not accurate nor precise here. So there's different types of grouping, and that'll actually come into system processing and different things that you might run into. Hey, Robodom, you're here. How's it going? I missed that because I was looking something up, but yeah, this kind of I'm just going through my talk here for why engineering, and I'm updating it for what we're going to be doing in, well, we're a few months out. I need to start to work on unit 4 of unit 3 of the group. So the security engineering group needs to I need to get unit 3 going. If you guys wonder how I do this, that's exactly how I do it. And then there's all my unit 3 stuff getting ready. All right, anyways. Oh, that'll be coming. I was putting a bunch of stuff together yesterday, and I've moved along. Hold on, right here. Is this one? It's on the other one, but I think I had it open in I could wipe this one, but anyways, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All right, so there's that. That's fine. We can test. We can get things and group them together. And so we'll add one in there. We can log in checkpoint things so we can know how far along the process we got, which is going to make it useful for troubleshooting because we know something broke because we didn't get down here. That makes troubleshooting better because we understand a thing, right? We understand how a thing works. Thanks for all those links too, Robodom. I know that ProLUG website kind of leads people to the right places most of the time, so that's always good. So that is very useful. So something broke, and then we can be more granular and resolution. Instead of this whole big thing, something broke, we could say, well, if we timestamp in here, then we know that more things passed before something broke, and then we'd have to figure out in here why something broke, right? So we can troubleshoot. Yeah, I think the website's really good. That was all done by Treasure. So if any of you guys know, down in our Discord, Treasure, he's the one who made our webpage. So if you need to ask him about how it's done or anything, I can tell you how it's hosted because I host it in Kubernetes locally. But if you need to know anything about how he wrote it or any of that kind of stuff, he's pretty good at letting you guys know what's going on and letting you know what's how he wrote it and did these different things. Then if you want to validate anything and you have any of the people's info, you can verify the different people, and you can see if they actually took the course and if they passed it. And everybody's got a little QR code that actually passed the course, and the QR code actually goes to the right link to get to your information. So anybody that's done the course and gets their little QR code, we will always have your information up there for people. So you could actually put that QR code in your portfolio, send it to a company, and they'll actually be able to scan it and see that you passed the Professional Linux Users Group Linux Systems Administration 16-week course, which is kind of nice. I think that's just one more thing, one more thing to say, hey, I did this, and maybe you're struggling with getting anything that goes, and it says this person, this person did the course that they said that they did. So we're in the 2 courses now. And actually, I haven't told any of you guys this, but I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to do for the next 2 courses. I think the next 2 courses. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. The next 2 courses we're going to do will be we will do an all automation course, so it'll be all Ansible and automation tools, and then we will do it'll focus heavily on Ansible because that's what I know the best. Hold on, I got to sneeze. Oh. And then the other one that we'll do. Hey, there's Trevor. We were just showing the page. And then the other thing we're going to do, guys, is we'll do the security red team. So we're doing all the blue stuff now, all the protecting the systems, and we'll do all the blue stuff. So those will be the next 2 courses I'm going to do. I'm going to put those together probably later in the year because I've got stuff going on in July, and lots of stuff going on. So I probably won't do them just yet, but expect them to come. We might even let the Linux sysadmin course go again and the security engineering course, and then just keep kind of getting people more and more ready with the the fundamental stuff before we move on to that. But I think that all this stuff is valuable for you guys to just keep doing. So, all right, anyways, so that's that. Why engineering, granularity, that kind of stuff. And then because we can hack, we can put in different values. We can have testing of things for again, hacking is a process of understanding a system, typically by testing input and output behavior to map system function, right? To gather understanding of a system and to grok it. That's what the process of hacking is. It's not actually anything to do with getting in a system as most people use it. But anyways, so that's why engineering. And then we could say securing our system. Like, why are we letting people do these things? And maybe we need to control that. And then we start to put controls in place, right? So what I might do is put... Yeah. So after securing... Talk about controls, types, categories, right? So we'll do that, and that'll be a little redundant for some people, but we like to make we like to make it stick. So we'll work through that stuff there. Then here we can secure against intrusion, describe events in a structured way. So this then ties back into that other thing where we can teach people how something occurred, right? So then we can keep people from having the same ill effects, I guess. Maybe I need to put... Hold on. All right, so after the diamond intrusion, we'll do one about how best practice can be applied. Lessons can... This is one of my favorite... Have you guys ever seen... Does anybody here know one of my favorite quotes ever? It used to go across the bottom of the screen all the time. But one of my favorite quotes always is this. That's one of my favorite quotes. But experience is the hardest teacher, gives the test first and the lesson after. And one of the things that we can do with best practice is we can avoid the hard lessons being taught that way by using somebody else's experiences to move forward, right? It's like when people say I stood on the shoulder, I stand here before you because I stand on the shoulders of giants or whatever. Like great men came before me and I followed their lead. Well, the idea of that is, I don't have to go, like if I want to go right now and build an electric engine, I don't have to go and figure out how electrons move through a coil. That's known, right? All I need to do is make sure that I do it in effective, as effective way as possible within whatever best practices are there. Or I need to shift the paradigm in some way, right? Like make a more novel way of passing more electrons through, I don't know, less copper or something like that. So there's less friction, but we still get the same net effect of movement or something like that. I don't know, whatever it is that you're trying to do. The point is, you can follow best practice or, that kind of stuff. All right, anyway, so why engineering? And then we do that. And then I say that's all cool and all, but why engineering? And then we go into why engineering. And this is our system about why we need to be engineers, because nobody pays us to hack. That's actually true. And when you say, well, yeah, they do pay us to do this. And I say, yeah, but they're really paying you for the planning and the documenting around it. And I know that because I used to run a red team. So this part of it is very small compared to the planning and the documenting of like any of the stuff that most people do on red teams. So why engineering? So how do we apply planning in front? So I've shown all this stuff. We model the high-level steps of what we're doing, outlining. We do swags, which are scientific wild-ass guesses. Try to be realistic with your timing. Predicting possible issues that can come up with failure modes and effects analysis, which requires heavily to have previous knowledge and the ability to think about these things, right? And we're not going through all these right now. I'm just kind of running through it as we go. Minimal viable product and proof of concept, and what are those things? Does it fit for use, and is it fit for warranty? Those kind of things, right? All right. And then why engineering? How do we apply documentation to the end of all of our hacking? Take notes from the terminal, clean up and prepare initial documentation, run your red lines, produce training and operational activities, those kind of things, right? That emote's so funny to me, Robodom. I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it always has been. Yeah, I'll screw over on YouTube. Yeah, I appreciate that. No, that's definitely accurate. We're going through. I'm taking notes on an old presentation of mine that I'm updating for the group, because we're gonna meet in August for we do a big virtual meeting. I'm hoping to have a few hundred people at each of those. We had about 100 at some of them last time, so that was with only 2,300 members. So now with closer to 4,000 members, it would be nice to. I like trying to break Discord, but not like we're trying to break Discord. We're just overusing it, Yeah, it was good. It was fun. All right, conclusion. So why engineering? Why engineering? Because engineering is good money. Businesses need their processes to run, and we know how to do it. And because we like money. And because we like money. And because we like money. And because we like money again. And because we like money. All right, so where do you go from here? Focus on being a better engineer. I need to add, so where do we go from here? So I'll probably add some stuff for people to do here. Yeah, money go Burke. Yeah. Where do people go from here? I would say my general idea is focus on the basics. Focus on the basics, how things work, right? And then I would say and then from there I would say find things that interest you that don't feel like work to do, right? And then find a group that is doing the same thing or has the same goals as you. I tell you guys all the time, like, I think surrounding yourself with other people that are like similar goals is huge. I read a thing early on, like, if they didn't know you, but they took your 9 closest friends, like there's a whole bunch of things like your economic status and all these other things that somebody could tell about you. Now that doesn't mean you need to go get new friends. What that means is you might just need to figure out. I mean, that could be part of it, but especially if your friends just want to drink every weekend. Nothing wrong with drinking every weekend, but not when you have a goal, not when you have somewhere you want to be. Right? Nothing wrong with drinking. It's just does that supplant some other thing you want? If you've got a goal, like guys, I know that I have a buddy that just did a Ironman. If you guys know what an Ironman is, that is a wild competition, and he finished it. He finished it under the allotted time, but he wasn't drinking or doing anything. He's a doctor too, but he wasn't doing anything during that. He was just training. We'd be sitting around talking, and he'd be like riding a little like one of those like Aerodyne bikes the whole time while we were all sitting around. He'd have it with him everywhere we went. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the guy was fanatical about it, but he wanted to finish it. He had a goal. He's like, I'm going to finish an Ironman. And that's what he did. So, also, I messaged the wife earlier, like when we're all over friends coming over. It seems like I didn't need to do that because I can hear them all coming in from downstairs. So, Robodom, you might have missed it, but the wife's doing bunko downstairs tonight. So there's like probably like 40 women downstairs here shortly, all older. Like my wife's probably one of the younger people in the group, so they're just gonna be down there rolling dice. Which bunko is like Yahtzee, I think. I don't know. She said there's winners tables and there's like people get executed. I think when they mess up. I don't know. I don't know all the thing here. They're all here for bunko. Yeah, there's a whole bunch. I can hear them all downstairs. I already taught my college class for the night, so that's all done. So I'm just kind of hanging out now. I'm just hanging out with you guys, chilling. I could bring my green screen up and actually be on, but I'm being lazy, so I didn't do that. I do need to update that thing though. Hold on, let me pull up my other notepad and fix that because we just hit 3,800, so that's a big deal. Where is that? Where is ticker? I think that's the old one. Ticker info. Co-working ticker. 3,800. Save. Tell me if that says 3,800 now, guys. I think it does. Nope. So it's not co-working. Hold on, let me go find which one this is. Stream ticker info. That's 3,800. Control S. Save. All right. I think that's good. Yeah, OBS. It's interesting. Streamlabs OBS, which is just repackaged OBS, didn't have the limitation, but OBS does. I can only do like so many characters, so that's kind of yeah. So I like can't have. I used to have it like go way longer, but now I can only have like I don't know. I have like an 80 character limit or something. There's some smaller limit, but I don't know. What can you do, guys? All right. So where do we go from here? Questions. That's it. All right. So that's the presentation that I gave last year that I'm going to kind of update for this year, and I'll put in there that it's updated, and that'll be interesting. Now it says it. Yeah. It looks good. I think I can even put my mouse near it. All right. Also, starting next month, I'm going to be working on my doctorate again, so that's going to be lots of work. I'm going to clean this up. I added this today, and then I decided I didn't want to add them live because it just takes too long. So, all right. All right, that'll be good. All right, so what else do we have going on here? Let's save that. Oops, I don't want that. Let's just save that. All right, let's get that out of the way. What else do we have? We've got some I think all this stuff, we got all of our Linux over here that we can do. I can reopen that in the background just so it's behind everything else. And then the voice. Yep. All right. Just do some Linux while we're hanging out here. I also kind of want to put together, I've got more labs to do. So since I have more labs to do, I might work on some labs a little bit. What else? Johnny Man, how's it going over on the Twitch side? Yeah, Robodo, I'm definitely hiding out. I'm up in my office, but my office is a new room. It's a different room than the old one. Also, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I can hear him down there chuckling and stuff. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole gaggle of them underneath me, but I'm pretty safe up here. And I got water, so I don't need to go anywhere. I got my water reserve. I think I think Ranger Cam is busted. I think the wife took Ranger Cam off. Yeah. She took Ranger Cam offline earlier, so yeah, Ranger Cam's down. I think that was my wife's legs taking Ranger Cam down, actually. Yeah, so Ranger Cam's down for the night, so get rid of that. Because it's all just bunco tables down there. I guess in bunco, from what I understand, there's like 4 tables. There's a winner's table, all the way down to like a loser's table. I think they all have to wear dunce hats if they're on the loser table. I don't know. Anyways, I think it's funny. Yeah. So for bunco, what happens with Ranger is he has to go in. By the way, Ranger's perfectly fine with people. Everybody loves Ranger, but he would probably get he doesn't get agitated. I would just say he can't relax when people are around, which is kind of similar to me, so that's good. But I think so. The wife just puts him in. He's got he can go out anytime he wants, but she puts him in the laundry room. So the laundry room is his little way. That's how he gets out to the yard, anyways. So he's just kind of in like a little luxury, pampered room in there with his bed and stuff. And then, he's out of the way of everybody. But he's got his food and his water and his outdoors in there. So he's fine. He's fine. He doesn't care. He doesn't care at all. So, yeah, Ranger's definitely living his best life down there. What we could do, let me go check over here. Let's see how ready Lab 3 is for us this week. So this is the next week for the people doing Linux Systems Admin. And I just want to see how ready this is. So there's worksheet, text, and doc. Okay. Google SRE books for service level objectives and some AWS stuff. Go down here. Scan chapter here for keywords, pull stuff out. Okay, building secure and reliable systems. So, let's see if this link is good. Yep, crisis management. And how does triage work? All that stuff, establishing a team. Okay, that's good. And then Google Find a Blogger, AI high availability. And here's one if you need it. And then what are some important terms you read about if you're doing AI or when you're talking about high availability. And let's see what this is. Yep, high availability. How you do it. What does it mean? Okay. Good. Discussions talking about 5 nines, single point of failures, key performance indicators, service level indicators, objectives and agreements. Active standby, active. Yeah, these are all good terms. If you're an administrator, and then even getting into engineering, I would say if you're a process engineer, you need to know all of these. If you are a systems engineer, you probably just need to be familiar with them. But administrators use this stuff because, again, you're going to be measured by how much you keep your systems up. That's the only indicator of a good operations team is how much they keep their systems running. Operations teams aren't responsible for, you know, they're not responsible for generating new leads for the company. They're not responsible for sales. They're not responsible for operational budgets. Well, for a little bit they are. But the people on the engineering part of the team and the admins are there to keep the system running. That's what they do. So, digging deeper, uptime, SLO. Okay, so it looks like this week's stuff is pretty good. Let's go look at the lab. I made them do a bunch of stuff with LVMs and understanding, you know, just some basic stuff. And then we did some disk speed writes if they want, so they can learn about that. And then I make them in the lab go and lay out the disks on one of the Rocky boxes. So that's good. Yep, create the disks, add them in. I need to make sure, so let's go check. I guess we could use Rocky 18 for this, doesn't really matter. Let's go check if this will all still work, even if there's something going on with the disks. So fdisk-l will show you all the disks. There's a whole bunch of information there. And if I were to clear fdisk-l grep-i xvd, there are the C. So in this case, it was BCD, right? But I don't want anybody to just generically do that. In this case, it's BCFE. That's weird. I don't know why there's another one. Oh, Rocky's got too many. Rocky 18's got too many. It doesn't matter. All right, for disk in, we'll go BCF. We'll go E. Okay, and we'll do PV crate dev xvd $disk, right? Because now we're just gonna loop over that. Done. Ah. Will force work? Ah. Well, somebody's possibly put them on this box already. Huh? Somebody maybe is still on this box too. All right. Well, I won't mess with them then, but somebody's already done this on here. So that's good. I can just sneak out of there then. I'll reboot them all before this week so everything's good before this weekend. But yeah, I'll make sure they're all cleaned up. Maybe I should just put a playbook that wipes it all. Yeah, that might be what I do before this week, because this week is kind of involved, week 3, kind of involved with all those discs. So I might just go find all the discs and wipe them all so that everything is there. Yeah. Oh, I did some Perl stuff apparently too. Either I did that or they added that, but that looks like something I might have done. All right, so this is all. This is a long lab this week for everybody in week 3. Shows you how to do the MD-ADM and then make it persistent. However, it won't be persistent in our lab, but it's good to understand how it would work. The persistence won't work in our lab environment, but it is set up to at least you could build it and then have MD-ADM conf up, and then it would come up correctly in the future. If you weren't in our lab environment, when you touch a box and reboot them, then it's all done. So. Robdom, did you say, wait, so you said, do I take notes? I have to take notes in real time or I forget everything. My brain, I don't remember, I don't remember what I did a few minutes ago. So I take notes all the time in real time. So, if you ever see me, writing something or pulling stuff out in notes, I barely remember all this stuff we just did on the engineering presentation. So these are my notes to me for future me so that when I go to update that doc, I'm ready. No. Rob, no. I have plenty of time on most of my stuff. Nobody knows what engineers do anyways. Not Linux engineers, so they just pay us a whole bunch and then hope everything gets done for the most part. That's pretty much how most of that stuff works. Yeah, I have IO fault. I definitely have to have trigger like alarms and stuff for times. And actually, that's one of the things I show in the Linux sysadmin course. Like some people work really good with Pomodoros, some people don't, and it's really just what works for you guys. Hey, thanks for the prime. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. I was gonna say it's been a while. It's been a while, but I appreciate you stopping by. And we're what we're doing. We're just looking at. I'm making sure that the environment's ready for the Linux sysadmin course this week. I have to put together the security engineering course still, but I have a few more nights, so it's not till Saturday. But I'll probably get it done Thursday or Friday night because the wife's going out of town, and since she's going out of town, I mean, I pretty much just this is what I do, guys. I sit here, at my computer, or well, so the wife is like I think you guys know if you were around a little while ago, the wife's downstairs with like 40 people playing bunco. Well, actually, hold on. Let me make sure. No, it's not 40 because bunco tables only sit 4 people. So I guess it's like 16 to 20. So do I have experience with Palo Alto? Yeah, I've done a fair amount with Palo Alto, hitting them with Ansible, but not. I don't directly work on Palo Alto boxes, but I've used. So if I could type, geez. Pretty sure I got it in here. Yeah, I don't know where it is. Anyways, but yeah, I've done some Palo Alto work. It's been a while though, but it's definitely something you can do. So let me go look real quick. Hold on. So yeah, week 3. Let's look at the what I have set up for week 3. I've been prepping it already this week, but week 3 is. Nope. Huh. I don't. Here. So week 3 is user access and system integration. So we're gonna be open. We're gonna be doing open LDAP and Keycloak most likely for these, and then getting some of that stuff working, SSSD and that kind of stuff. I know as a company I work for, we use VPN, but I see a lot of companies ask for experience. Yeah, I've had to configure some Palo Alto stuff, working with network teams and stuff, but I mostly focus on the Linux side. So basically, guys will come to me from other engineering teams if they need automation around something because they know that I tend to run like if we have an Ansible automation platform, I'll run that, which is Tower, what Tower morphed into. Um, and then I also tend to just, you know, do all the do whatever automation's needed. Mostly, it doesn't even matter. I don't even care what it is as long as I can connect to it. And then as long as there's an API for it, I should be able to control it. Like general engineering stuff. Yeah, so we're doing this next week, and then this will be week 4. I think you guys will I think you guys should be liking all this stuff, but Unit 4 is coming up. I think that one will be good. We're gonna let people come into our systems. Maybe we'll even update how our Bastion works in the lab. That would be kind of cool. I kind of want to update the whole framework and make it even more secure than what we're doing now, but we'll get there. We will get there. It's just going to take time. We got a lot of the stuff, I'm just got to keep working on it. And then we'll do patch cycles. We'll build our own little life cycle tool. We'll use like pulp, and then we'll build a plan for that. Yeah, this will be monitoring stuff will be, Grafana and Promtail, mostly Loki, and then configuration drift will be Ansible for sure. And then this will be all PKI tools. Maybe even Vault. I think we should do some Vault. So we'll do some certificates, maybe certificate management with Vault. That would be good. Although, obviously, Vault is a HashiCorp tool, so HashiCorp's owned by IBM. There's the whole business source license thing that they did. They did that before they got bought by IBM, but I'm sure it was, negotiations and moving into that space as they got ready to sell. So kind of an interesting thing that happened there. Down here are the things that I think that you'll know how to do when we're done with the course. So I think everybody who's been doing the course probably feels like, hey, I hammered this a lot the last couple weeks. Probably know way more about compliance frameworks than you wanted, and how to adhere to them in a certain way. And then also securing network. I think there's been a fair amount of that going on. So that's good. We'll keep going on this stuff in the next week. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I just hit a wall. Like I'm more tired than I should be. But let's go over to Discord. If you go on the Discord and you want to do the labs, if you want to do the course with us, the recordings are here in Beginner Start Here section. And then down in the ProLUG projects, that's where you actually find the assignments. So everything's starting 322 and on are what you need to do for either of the two courses that you're doing. Yeah. Yeah, well, Robodom, I'm pretty much always in Discord. Like, there's not really a time when I'm not in Discord. So, yeah. I always have it on my phone or somewhere. So, people hopping in. The bot's welcoming people. That's always fun. Twitch schedule tells you guys when we go live. That kind of stuff. And then there's Bash. People are doing, I should show you guys this. If you're ever in Discord, right, like, because I feel like a lot of people use Discord, but they don't actually, like, use it for much. There's always events, and then you can go in and you can look at all the events that are running. Every event in our server is free, so, like, you can just go hang out with anybody that's in there. If you ever see anybody, like I don't think Cole has left this channel for, like, 5 or 6 days at least, but if you see somebody in a channel, you're always welcome to go jump in there with them. There's no rules around that. We can go jump in there and talk with him right now if we want. But I think he's working on whatever he's working on. But I literally don't think he's left that channel for a while. So anyways, that's that. So I wanted you guys to see that there's all this stuff. All right. What else? Sounds like somebody brought a kid because they're talking to somebody like they're a kid downstairs. I hear a lot of kid-like talk down there. All right. What else do we got? We could do labs. I did put some new labs up for people to test drive if they want. The problem with some of these labs, right? When you tie, and I'm probably going to change the way these labs work in the future anyways, but the SCC tool that you go to download, they update it every few months. And then when they update it, you have to go change all of your download information, right? So like over here, the download has to change to a .2. So I had to go through and modify all these, and then they'll only be working for like the next few months. What I might do is I'll just make this the version, and then I'll actually just push it up, and it'll just sit in like an answers folder, or I'll just drop it right in root so you don't have to download it anymore. But the reason I originally had this here where you guys can go in the lab and download things is because then you go, oh, hey, there's this whole page that I can go look at these things and I can go and download them, that kind of stuff. And I think that that's valuable for you guys. Maybe you've never downloaded and unzipped something from the command line, so that's a good thing, a good skill to get, and to understand how to do. So anyways, that's that. Yeah, so there's labs, and I asked in the Discord for anybody that wanted to do those labs. I used to have probably around August again. We'll do like another bounty. If you find anything broken in the labs, let me know. And just kind of like our own little. It's not exactly like a bug. It's not exactly like a bug bounty. It's just like a little like go find errors type bounty. And then if you do, then I don't know, I'll do something. Maybe like a humble bundle or something. Oh, Robodom. Are you so Robodom, are you running a WSL? I never really got into the WSL thing. I know a lot of people did. Um and it's Windows subsystem for Linux. Some people swear by it. Some people think it's great. But Robodom, in all versions of Windows now there's a WSL that you could add, and then you would have Windows subsystem for Linux, and you could just run your own Linux systems inside of it. If I were doing that, I would more tell people to go for something that's standardized, like an Oracle VirtualBox or something. But that's only if you were really like, oh, I only have this one system that I want to run on. That's how I would do that. Best case scenario, you either run stuff up in the cloud on their free tier for the first year, or you go get yourself a little box and then you run like a home lab like this or something, right? Like we got our home lab systems, and then we've got all of our servers built out underneath these, right? So you can go in and do any of that stuff. Most of you guys prefer Proxmox. I have no problem with that. I think Proxmox is a great tool. A lot of businesses are going to Proxmox. So as you guys hear me often say, I think that you should focus on things that are being used in the enterprise, and Proxmox and those type of tools are much more used in the enterprise than like XCPNG, which is why you guys have never heard me push, hey, you should build your home lab in XCPNG. You've never heard me actually say that, except right there where I was quoting, right? Like, this is, I think that you guys should have a lab system, but Proxmox is something that's much more enterprise driven. This is just us, this is, don't worry about what I'm doing in my lab. my lab isn't what I would do if I were trying to get into the industry. I'm already in the industry, So I'm actively doing stuff in there that's not what I would do in the industry. Or I guess it better to put would be to say that I'm doing things in there that I don't care as much about, like, because I'm not necessarily trying to land a job with it. Ah, yeah, stranger in a strange land. Somebody just said that. That's where grok comes from. Yep, stranger in a strange land. Old book. That's his name. Yeah. That's where the term grok tends to come from, and it means to fully understand a thing. Hold on, we're gonna look this up. Yeah, so that term comes from this. Yeah, for the Martian map, you cannot hate anything unless you grok it. That's interesting. I like it. All right, anyways, that's something that doesn't really have anything to do with anything, but I'm just kind of messing around right now. Rodon, there's nothing wrong with Intel. Intel's still running most things. AMD's out there, but I mean, like that's not going to functionally change most people being able to get into Linux. You know, that might only affect like the lowest little end thing, something maybe. The 24, yeah, it said if someone dedicated their time to learning everything you possibly provide from a zero experience mindset, how long would it take to get into the industry? I'd say you still need a connection, but curious. Well, I'd tell you if you did no Linux, right? If you just for the first time today got into like this Linux lab, which is like the very first Linux lab, and just looking around in Linux, all the way to like being ready to at least be a sysadmin, and you were dedicated to do like an hour, maybe an hour and a half a day, I would say probably the minimum I think most people would take if they were dedicated would probably be about 3 months to get ready. There's obviously some differences around some people, like, you know, they can't only do an hour and a half a day. They would spend 8 hours at their machine, and those guys might be able to do a little faster. I'm kind of skewed on mine because like I got in through networking, right? I did I got my CCNA while I was still in the Army. So like I don't mean networking with people. I mean like literally networking systems. And then I got over into Linux after that, after a while, because again, I think some of you guys know I didn't love networking. I'm fine at it. I do it. It's okay. But like all of my stuff kind of just worked, and that wasn't very challenging to me. So I just kind of moved away from it into systems work, and moved over into Linux, and have been doing that full time for about 20, almost 22 years now. Not quite 22 years, but pretty close. So, yeah, I would say you could get into this. But then also, again, mine skewed too because I went to college, and college didn't really teach me much Linux. I only had one Linux class ever. I really have, I learned all my Linux besides that one class in the wild. And that's why I try to make it a little easier for everybody else. By the way, like, you know, this is just us hanging out right now. But, you know, in Discord, this is where, you know, you've got a lot of stuff in here about people. Excuse me, like topics and stuff. You know, beginners can start here. There's a lot of, you've never done Linux before. Here's absolute beginner Linux. I think it's absolute beginner. Then there's a bunch of certs that you can go get if you just want to pump up your resume. These are free certs. There's nothing in here that costs you anything. Yeah, that's still true. And then one of our guys put together a nice little study guide for this one. So if you want to go take this one, then there's that. And I just think that man, there's a lot of stuff. But I would say, yeah, if somebody was pretty dedicated, probably the minimum would be about 3 months to get ready if they were trying to get into this space. If they had no background in it. But a good sysadmin is going to know some networking. They're going to know the system that they're doing administration on. So if you're a Linux sysadmin, you know your Linux stuff. If you're a Windows sysadmin, you know your Windows stuff. If you just, you know, and you got to know how it interacts. Like I have there's all kinds of stuff out there. How long do I think it would take a software engineer? Well, that should be like, I'd say less time because software engineers understand the process, right? They understand the thing. But yeah, if you just wanted to get into administration in general, I'd say probably about 3 months. And you'd have to probably focus on what you're trying to get into. Like some people want to do Red Hat, some people want to do Ubuntu, and I would say, well, you probably want to focus on directly what you're doing. But I'd say a software engineer, if you're doing a lot of Linux as a software engineer, probably a month or two. You know, because you still got to pick stuff up. You still got to learn it. Spend some time with it. Like you can't get all the error and troubleshooting stuff crammed in 1 week. You got to play with your system over time to see the errors that happen, and you got to boot a system. I was saying the other day, like you boot a system once and that's fine, but you need to boot a system like 10 times and see its behaviors, and then you need to, like we were talking about this when we were building stuff the other day. I was saying like now you've just opened You've just unlocked the skill at level 1. Now you got to go do it a bunch, you know? So that's my thoughts on it anyways. What I was going to show you guys is the courses. If we go to like this is the security engineering course. I have these syllabuses built. And this is what we're doing for the one course. And then these are being built into the book eventually. And then my other course is here, Linux sysadmin, and that one looks like this. By the way, this is up in the Discord, both of these. Here's the sysadmin course right here. And this is what the sysadmin course learns in the different weeks right here. And also this should be mapped out to the right dates all the way until we're done. And actually, just so everybody knows, this day, the last 2 days, I might have to have one of the other guys run it. And the reason is I'm going to be in Mexico this day. This is also the 5-year anniversary of, let's see, 5-year anniversary of me getting my black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu right there. And I think I won't be back on the 18th yet, so I might have to have somebody run these two this year, this time. So I do not have my CCNA anymore. I got my CCNA in 2002. I still teach that stuff though, so I still feel pretty good about it. But oh, Cisco absolutely helps in the networking concepts. Yeah, like, and also like, you know, we'll talk about like Net Plus, and I'll tell people I never got my Net Plus, but it's because I had my CCNA. Yeah, I think CCNA, like, I think Cisco's the best there is at teaching basic networking. I really do think their stuff's good. But we were talking about this the other day. Like, there's a tool, GNS3, where you guys can stand up lab environments and do all kinds of stuff for free. You guys can run GNS3 and learn all your Cisco commands. All the Cisco stuff is out there. I've showed you guys before how I go through the process of getting a cert. I just go and I make sure that I know every single part of their, you know, steps. Oh, they got a little bell going downstairs. Like, they keep ringing a bell. I think that's every time they, like, switch places. I think it's like the Mad Hatter Tea Party down there. Sorry, the wife's having a bunko party downstairs with a bunch of people, so I'm just hiding upstairs here. So that's in case you guys missed. In case anybody came in late and was like, "What the hell is this guy talking about?" They're doing like a bunko party downstairs. Like, the wife, there's like a traveling group of bunko players, I guess, and my wife's part of them. So she had to host this week. So I don't, you know, well, she wanted to host. Yeah, she wanted. I think from what I've been able to hear and listen to from the wife, bunko is something like, it's very like Yahtzee. That's what I understand about it. We can go to the Googles if we want. Hold on. Let's go to the Googles. What? Yeah, they play it real fast, and then when they roll the die, like, who's ever winning goes to the winner's table, and then they like move around. Round ends when a player reaches 21 points or bunko is rolled. Players rotate themselves, rotate tables and teammates after each round. So they switch what they're doing. Yeah, this is what they're all playing. This game right here. It's so look, let me tell you guys something. When my wife first got invited to a group, she was super happy. She was like, I got invited to a bunko group, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. And she's like, so I'm super happy I got invited to one, so now we're gonna play bunko. And then she got invited to a second one, so then she's like, I've been invited to 2 bunko groups, and I'm like, I still don't know what that is years later. But they play, I think they play in teams of 16. So, or in groups of, so they play like this, where it's multiple of them at a table. So, all right, interesting. Not interesting enough for me to sit on it for more than a few minutes. I mean, I love board games, don't get me wrong, but I don't necessarily care for just rolling dice like that. I love rolling dice for games. I got all kinds of dice. I got probably, if I had to guess, a few hundred dice in this house, maybe even more. Probably not quite up to 1,000 dice, but we're over 100 for sure. Probably over a few hundred, but. Jamie said, new here and curious about your courses. What's the cost, etc.? Is it based off of Red Hat or other distro? So the courses are free. I don't charge for anything in Discord. Like anything you do in Discord's free. The courses are free. You just jump in the Discord, go to the ProLUG projects, and start basically. Even though it did start back on the 22nd, so March 22nd. So you're a little behind if anybody were to start. You're in week 2, but you're not that far behind. You got to do 2 discussion posts, so you got to post an answer to a question and then respond. Looks like some people are holding on right now, but we'll drop down to only having about 10 people doing it. It is based on the Rocky Linux, which is a very similar to RHEL. I have a lab environment for you guys. We'll just do nodeless. And the sysadmin course is all the Rocky boxes. There's 19 of them. And the hammer boxes make up the security engineering course. You guys log into them remotely through a little bastion system that I have set up. You get dropped in something like this, and then you do whatever the lab is. So the lab would be, whatever. But it's just your time and effort, mostly. Yeah, and I find that people who stick with it learn a lot. They learn a lot about themselves, what they're good at, what they want to be better at. They learn a lot about, how to find a job in the space. And they learn a lot about, I think maybe one of the most valuable things about it, because we have a good number of professionals that are involved even though they're already in the industry. They're just people that want to learn more. You hear how people in the industry talk. And you get to... So, again, one of the valuable things I think about being in, like, oh my gosh, they just screamed down there. I don't know if you guys could hear that through my mic, but that was loud. Yeah, they're yelling bunko. I don't know what that was. That was very loud, though. I'm going to go close the door in my office, but, excuse me. Yeah, anytime you get involved with any group, you hear how the group talks, you hear common terminology. You start to see not just, again, all of us that are doing Linux and any of that stuff, we're all at least hobbyists and amateurs. But if you get in there and start doing it as a professional and start thinking like a professional, and what does the company want from us, right? What is the company going to pay us for, right? Like, why does the Linux admin make X amount of dollars, and what are the tasks of like the average day like? That's kind of what the course is about. I could have just at any time just pointed anybody to this, right? I can just link these, right? And we've done this a lot on stream. Like I could just link this and go, here you go. And you could just go do Linux tasks all day. There are so many Linux tasks in here, and you would be like, I know how to set up Grafana with Loki and Promtail. And that's valuable. Don't get me wrong. Every discrete task, everything you learn how to do in Linux is valuable. But the course is more about, again, the course doesn't cost anything, but your time. The course is more about how you apply that to a business and what the business wants from you, and how do we keep the systems up, and what does it look like when we get tickets in and that kind of stuff. That's kind of the stuff that we talk about in the course. So, and it's all recorded. The Linux sysadmin course we recorded last year into the start of this year, so all 16 of those are up. In fact, if you go to the ProLUG projects, if you were to just scroll up, you would find all the old work here. Everybody did all the old work already. There's books. The guys have put together some really awesome books for you guys. The books are also free. They're right here. Anybody that wants those. These books are free. That's the one, and this is the other. This is the security course. Actually, let's go look at. I'll go show you guys here real quick. You can find it in there, but here's the syllabus. So here's the things that I want to teach you in the Linux sysadmin course right here. These are the basic things that we hit right there. Here's the major instructional areas, and then here are the course objectives. These are the things you should be able to put on a resume when we're done, because you should understand how to do them, right? That's kind of like in the building of a syllabus from like a college standpoint, of which I've been a college professor for a long time. Um, those course objectives are kind of like my contract with you. These are the things you will know how to do at the end. Well, I mean, obviously I can't force you guys to learn anything, but if you choose to do the course and you do the work and you do the things, you will understand those things at a bare minimum. King Buns, am I banned? Am I banned? Did I do something wrong? Somebody in the Discord said that I had banned them recently, and then they left in a huff. And it's funny because they're not banned. Like I actually went and looked at our ban list. The only person there's been people who've gotten banned. Don't get me wrong, in Twitch, but only Robodom or I have ever banned anybody. Right? We're the only two that have ever banned anybody for real, and nobody's been banned since like I think September of last year. And I don't even remember what it was for. And also, I think it was Robodom. But anyways, the point is, whoever this guy is was like, he said, was I banned for talking about Joe Rogan or marijuana? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not so popular that I don't like know most of the people in the stream, but I'm pretty sure I would know if you would come in and talked about those things. So that's actually funny. Yeah, Robodom, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for some banning. Hey, so actually, I was driving home from the gym this morning, right? I drive down Union Hills in Phoenix, well, up in Glendale, Arizona, but it's Phoenix. I drive down Union Hills to my gym, and then I drive back. And as I drive back, I drive by a hospital, so I get a lot of kind of nicer cars in the morning as I'm driving back at 6 a.m. from the gym. And there was a Jeep Dom, Jeepdom on a Jeep. And that was the license plate. And I was like, that could be Robodom. I don't know that that's not Robodom. Right? Maybe Robodom owns a Jeep and came to Phoenix. I don't know. But there's no proof that it's not Robodom. But anyways, it was Jeep, Jeepdom on like a newer Jeep. And I thought that was kind of funny. King Buns, I think it was before you came around. This was very, very early on in my streaming. I had Nightbot doing most of the moderation because Nightbot will moderate a chat. Like if people talk too much or if they do stuff but me and Robodom would be sitting here talking for hours, and then Nightbot would just show up and be like deleted, and it would say like deleted 284 messages from Robodom, and it was kind of funny. It would just delete all these messages all the way up the thing from like the last couple hours that we'd be sitting here talking. And it was just like, you have talked too much. And I'm like, no, we've been sitting here talking. But Nightbot would go mad with power. That's actually why I made Robodom a mod, so it couldn't do that to him anymore. Yeah, Nightbot thought he was spamming because he was just sitting here talking with me. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Jamie, if you didn't get, did anybody send the Discord over? Robodom probably did. I would say hang out in the Discord. This is, I mean, I tell people this often, like, the main thing about, like, a Discord or any networking thing like that is just to sit around and hear how the people talk. See how, the engineers talk to each other. See how people work through problems sometimes. Sometimes we get down and we huddle and we work on stuff. Yeah, so the 24, yeah, we do. So these courses are time bound. The way we run them is we run them in 16-week kind of courses. So, excuse me, you could do the course yourself whenever you wanted. But if you were to sit around and just, like if you were to do them by yourself, you could probably power through some of them in only a few weeks. But there is actually, for the people that sit through and do the whole process with us, which is doing discussions and talking with everybody and really understanding the material, working through the thought processes, there's a certificate that you guys get. Hold on, I'll pull up an example of it. I have like a... anyways. I'll show you guys what the certificate looks like. It's here in streaming images, ProLUG. It looks like this, but it's in blue. So we only released the blue version, so I don't mind showing you guys the orangish one. But it looks something like this. And then the little verify code here for each person is backgrounded in so this verify right here for who this isn't a real guy, but if he was a real guy, this QR code would point to right here. I'll show you guys. Hold on a second here. Get rid of that. Let me pull this back up. Where's that at? Over here in our page, there's actually a verify, and then you could go to like Scott, me. If you knew my actual string, and then my string right here would always show the result that I was the ProLUG admin course instructor for the last one. And then we'll just make a new set of these. This reads off of a little local database that's built in to the container. And then there's mine, and then like one of our guys here, this is his. But that whole string is built into that that code, that QR code. So then if you gave that to somebody, or if you gave somebody your full string in your on your resume, they would be able to validate that you had done this course with this group. Once I catch, what is the schedule? So the once I catch what the schedule is, well, it just started. It's once a week. We meet every Saturday. So here's the schedule up here. Linux sysadmin course is every Saturday at 3 p.m. Well, that's Pacific time though, so that's probably different for everybody, but your Discord will show you in your time. And then the security engineering course is 5 p.m. on Saturdays. And then if there's any times where I'm going to miss or we're going to have somebody else run it, then I'll let you guys know always ahead of time. But yeah, that's when we do it. So hopefully that's clear for everybody. Yeah, we never charge anything. Anything in the Discord is free, right? Like just go hang out. I just want, because what I want people to do is, like, if you're a beginner and you don't have any experience in the space, I want a place where people can go and actually just start picking up basic skills. If somebody wants to transition over, like Jamie over on the other side was saying, they wanted to transfer over and do some other stuff. You know, I want people to be able to come in and hang out with other engineers. And if you're coming like them from networking, we got a lot of networking stuff, right? I'm always showing you guys this red book from IBM that I think is an excellent place to start. Even though it's a dated book, this is such a good place to start for people that, like, this is still today. This book is from like the early 2000s. Yeah, 2006. This book is still such a good reference on how networks work. I'll link this to you guys if you want it. But this is also over in the networking section of the Discord. Yeah, gosh, I think it's such a good reference. The first 170 pages, I always tell you guys, it's first 170 pages. That's what most Linux engineers need to at least understand. This other stuff, yeah, it starts to get more into networking, right? Like, you know, what's the difference between a distance vector and a link state routing protocol? Like, that's not something that a Linux engineer needs to know. Well, not unless you're heavily in networking. Like, what's the difference between OSPF and RIP and that kind of stuff? Yeah, it's not that big a deal for us, or multicast and that kind of stuff. But there are things that are just valuable for, I'd say, any networking engineer, but Linux engineers for sure as well. We were looking at this yesterday. Anyways, yeah. So that's kind of it. There's no, our Discord is supposed to be, I don't want to like call it a safe space, but it's supposed to be a place where people can come and get started, right? If you've never done any of this stuff, like you're like, hey, I like computers and I'm pretty good at them, but I want to do it pro. That's what our job is to get you guys into doing it professionally. It's like the book called Windows Server 2008 PKI and Certificate Security is considered PKI Bible. Nice. First two chapters will teach the fundamentals of certificates and PKI with nothing to do with Windows. It's almost 20 years old. That's awesome, IOFault. I actually didn't know about that book, and I've always just used the Spiffy book. Hold on. It's actually Zero Trust. So the Spiffy book from these guys. Where's the book? Do they have the? Where's the book at? One of the members of our community helped write the book on this. Where's their book at? It's a pretty good little framework, but he's got one of our guys helped write the book. So it's called Solving the Bottom Turtle. That's where it is. Here's the book. So if any of you guys need the book, here it is. This is a great book, and it's funny. Yeah, I didn't. IO Fault. I didn't know about that book, but I had always been telling people about page 47 of this book. Let's go find it. This whole book's excellent, but the start for me. Oh, I went too far. For some of you guys, if you've never done any of this, I was always telling people to go here. Might be 42. Yeah. It talks about how this tells you how certificates work. So, brief overview of X509 and just knowing. So 41, 42 walks you through how certificates work, and it's a pretty good one. This is an excellent book in general, and I really should have it here in our little notes spinning because it's a free book and it's fun because it's solving the bottom turtle, because turtle's all the way down, right? Which I think is very clever. Yeah, so there's our instructional areas for our courses. That's what I'm trying to get people to learn right there. That's what we're trying to learn. IO Fault, I like that. Yeah, I like that, using the word certificates to get past the level 1 support. Yeah, I try to tell people, like, and that's going to be a thing I focus on in the last week of the security engineering course. I just called it Certificate Madness. We're just going to do all certificate stuff because I think that the average person that does this can understand certificates very well, and I think that the average person that is scared of or avoids certificates wouldn't be if they just spend like a little bit of time with it. And then once you spend that little time with it, you never have to worry about it again because now you know it. It's almost like the thing seems really big from the side, but then when you look at it up close, it's not that big and scary. So maybe that's a good way to think about it. Yeah, it looks like people have been using the Hammer servers, so that's good. Looks like people have been logging in them and using them, so that's good. Yeah, so that's what we do around here. Normally I'd be on stream actually popped up, but I just don't want to put on my green screen and put it all behind me and get all set up and stuff. So we're just kind of lazing about right now, letting you guys know about the group, letting you guys know that we have a course that you guys can go through for free. That hopefully, I think the people that have done it have all thought that it was really good. So that's the best endorsement somebody can give me. When somebody says, "Oh, that's pretty good," or somebody said earlier that something was changing their life, so I'm like, "That's pretty good." So, anyways, what else do we have? Lots of events in Discord. Lots of stuff coming up. Again, nothing you see in Discord is ever charged. We just hang out, work on stuff. There's projects, man. Some of the guys are helping build the book, so they're working on the book. If you want to learn how to get into GitHub and doing all that stuff, because the books are automatically generated out of GitHub. So you just learn that process, learn about working on a team, right? Because some of the guys have been running that for us. That's pretty good. Yeah, the 24, man. If you like computers and want to try it, I mean, one of the things. Let me tell you something real quick. Hold on. I'm gonna grab some water. Grab some water bottles and listen to everybody yell downstairs. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but let me tell you this: I have college students sometimes that are in like their 3 or their 400 level college class. Typically, students get to me when they're late in their 200s, early in their 300s, because I only teach technical things. The college doesn't have me teaching anything but technical stuff, right? So, like, I don't teach business classes or anything like that, even though I could. I have all the degrees for it and everything. But the thing where I'm going with that is this. I have students in the 3 or 400 level class, so they've been in college for years. And they're just like, Scott, I fucking hate this stuff. Or they'll tell me that. They'll be like, hey, I hate command line, and I'm going to be a network engineer. And I'm like, well, that was an expensive lesson. That was an extremely expensive lesson to go to college for years, especially a private college like mine that charges as much as they do. To go for years and then to finally be in, all your Cisco courses and just say, I hate this. I don't want to sit at a command line for another. There are so many people that this is like anathema to them. They would never, ever in a million years want to sit here. So if that's the case, that's a really expensive lesson to learn. That's a very expensive time waste of your life. It's a very expensive money waste of going to college for that long. So I tell people all the time, like, if you hang out and just try our free course, or just hang out in our little Linux group for a little bit and go, it's not for me. I think that's probably the best free lesson somebody could give you, right? If you hang out for a little bit and you go, that looks interesting, but that's not for me. I don't want to do that. Then I think that's a way better lesson than going and fucking spending years in college. And by the way, one of the reasons I think like that is one of my in-laws, right? So one of my wife's brothers, her youngest brother, who's about 10 years younger than her. So he's significantly younger than us. In fact, what is he? Oh God, I think he's early. He might be more than 10 years younger than the wife. He's early 30s, but he got a degree. He got a bachelor's degree from ASU in chemical engineering, and he graduated a few months ago. Actually, a few years ago now. And we all celebrated with him. We're like, hey, that's awesome. You graduated. You're done. I said, when are you going to get a job in the chemical engineering field? And he said, deadpan straight face, not joking, and it's still true to this day. He goes, I never want to do chemical engineering ever again. And he doesn't work in that field. He's a call center guy. He does call center stuff. And I'm like, that is one of the most expensive lessons I could have ever thought to learn, that I didn't want to be a chemical engineer, by going through and passing an entire bachelor's degree in chemical engineering. Is that not wild? Like, he effing hates it. He hates it like so much, like I could see it in his face how much he hated it when he said, I never want to look at chemical engineering again in my life. Doesn't want to do it. So you might say, well, why did you sit through a whole college? Well, it's 'cause some people just want to finish college, and there's some value in that. Don't get me wrong. Later on in his career, whatever he's doing, they're going to be picking managers, and they're going, this guy's got a bachelor's, and that's going to help. But it's just, it's not going to help like it might have if he had went and been a chemical engineer and made chemical engineer money, right? So anyway, my point is, and again, 16 years of teaching college, over 5,000 college students. When a college student tells me, I hate this, I hate just all of this, I go, well, that's an expensive lesson. To go all the way this far, that's an expensive lesson. Yeah, Robe Dog, if you got a master's degree for what you're doing, then yeah, that can be expensive. I'm let's see, I have 2 masters, but I'm almost done with my doctorate, and or I'll be done with my doctorate next year. But it's just I don't think, I tell you guys all the time, I don't think you need that stuff. That stuff is just like, this is just me doing side quests, right? Like, this is just me like proving to younger me that I was gonna do something. Oh gosh, I don't know if you guys just heard that again. That was very loud, exciting bunko yelling. Man, I gotta go close this door in a minute. But yeah, this is I haven't seen Camby in a while, but Camby is the one that wrote this Albion Linux that I just leave up so that you guys, if you're interested in it, you go mess with it. They were, last I heard, and last I heard from Camby, they passed their PNPT or whatever, which is like the it's like the, it's whatever all this is. It's the malware analysis and reverse engineering. It's all that stuff. They passed that. That was the last I heard from them. So maybe they're just super busy now or something. But they actually wrote this project because they were trying to get this certification. So I thought that was kind of cool reason to do that. Yeah. It's cool, you know, you want to study for something, you don't see anything out there to help you study for it, so you just make it. It's pretty good. That's pretty good little open source. That's like what open source is about, right? You wanna do something and you don't want to wait for somebody else to do it for you, so you go figure it out. All right. Let's see what's going on in the environment. Couple things. Let's check these. Typically when I'm sitting around, we go check all the boxes to make sure that they're all working. Make sure there's none of the nodes that need to be kicked over. Because when we're doing labs, sometimes servers bust. And PNPT, that's what it is. Yeah. Y24, I don't, in the Linux sysadmin courses, I don't make you do any of that, and in the security engineering course, I don't make you do that. But we do a fair amount of cloud in the server. Yeah, there's we have a fair amount of cloud engineers and people that work for cloud providers. We got a few people that work for them, and there is some cloud technology stuff that people will post, and also some certification stuff people will post in here. So there's some Azure stuff here. AWS. I have 5 of the AWS certs, but I never really got deep into. We used to joke around about getting our jackets, which is getting all 12 of the certs, but I stopped after 5. I just didn't. I don't do enough cloud. My high performance compute where I work, because I do a bunch of HPC for the government, you know, for the U.S. government. That's almost all that I do is high performance compute. What the hell just happened there? Anyways, all the HPC stuff that I do, I don't really do much with the cloud anymore. I do a little bit with NOAA. It's actually funny that National Oceanographic Atmospheric Agency doesn't do anything with the cloud, but I will be working some of their stuff into the cloud probably in the next few years. But no, you don't have to learn cloud-based stuff if you don't want. No, not for straight Linux. No. No, definitely not for straight up Linux. Oh, sorry. None of our nodes are busted. That's pretty good. Some people are using some of them, so that's good. I don't reboot them when people are in them. So like Hammer 22, we would exclude. All these other ones probably are safe. Oh, Hammer 5. Well, that's me in there. That's me in Hammer 5. But Hammer 22's got somebody in it. So I wonder if I can exclude. I don't know if this works or not. What was that, 22? I don't know if the exclude works like that anymore. No, it doesn't. You can limit, but I don't know if there's a way to. Because I know you can limit down to only the ones you want. But I don't know if you can exclude. Yeah. Yeah, well, doesn't matter. I don't need it. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I'm doing tonight. Just kind of hanging out, not working too hard. Figure I try to pop on every few nights and make sure that people know that there's a little group out there where you can go hang out and do Linux if you want. In a professional capacity and a just messing around capacity, any of that stuff. Oh, I'll fault said you appreciate the stream and like having it on the background while you do your own projects. Yeah, yeah. That's kind of the goal, is just work on stuff, and then hopefully if anybody has anything that they're just stuck on, that they can ask and the community can help out. That's actually one of the things that works good in the Discord, is when people drop something in like the Ansible code or something, and people go tear it up and go, oh yeah, this is the way I do it, or that's the way I do it. I learned a lot when stuff like that happens too, because it's just like just picking up all the stuff that's coming on, and I learned stuff that like I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah, it looks like somebody's working on some of those servers. Some little stuff's going on. Robodom, you still around? We're on the same time now, 8:10. Because Phoenix, we don't change time, so now for the next few months I'm on Pacific time, and then I'll move back to Mountains. Well, I think technically I'm always on Mountain Standard Time because it doesn't change, but I'll be back to whatever Colorado is on. Which is that Central? I don't know. Yeah, fucking daylight savings. It's the worst thing. By the way, I didn't even know about daylight savings until I went in the Army. So like Phoenix doesn't experience it, so you hear about it and you just ignore it because you're like, I don't know what that is. And then you go in and then you're like, oh wait, I'm off time from my family. Okay, no, now I'm on time with my family. What the hell? Like I'm on the same time, or I'm not on the same time when I'd call home. That was kind of funny. And that was back in the day. So when I was in the Army, I had a cell phone, and cell phones back then you only had like 600 minutes on your cell phone, which is actually funny because people wanted to talk to each other. But nowadays, I don't think the average person would talk 600 minutes on their cell phone because nobody talks anymore, right? They all text or message. So anyways, where I'm going with that is you used to call back then, and if after like 8 p.m. at night, it was after 8 p.m. at night, it was free to call. So it was unlimited nights and weekends. Yeah. So I would get after 8 p.m. at night, I would call home and talk to people, and I would never have like a long distance bill ever, right? I just had this, I don't know, $30 or $40 a month like phone bill, and I never paid. And people in the barracks would pay 10 cents a minute back then to call long distance, just waste a bunch of money. And I never got into that because I just had a cell phone. That was 2000. I got a cell phone, so that was like, got off pagers, because that's what we used to always carry in high school, was pagers. So kind of funny. Anyways, my point is, yeah. So I would call home after 8, and then with the daylight savings, I would be calling home after 7 for them, so I could talk to more people because I wouldn't be calling too late. So I thought that was kind of a fun thing. Yeah, Robdom. People joke around about like only drug dealers and criminals have pagers, and it's like, well, all the teenagers I knew had pagers in the late 90s. Maybe in the early 90s it was all gangsters and drug dealers, but I'll tell you guys something funny. I carried a pager for Lockheed Martin as late as 2013. And you might say, why would you carry a pager so late for any company? Well, because we worked in a skiff, and because the alerts could go outside of the skiff, you couldn't carry a cell phone into the skiff. You had to leave it outside, but you could carry a pager in. Because a pager is a one-way device. A two-way pager you could not bring in, but a one-way pager you could. So we would still carry a one-way pager, and then we could get called out on alerts and stuff if we needed to. So that was kind of cool. That was as late as 2013. I imagine some of those guys probably still carry a pager over there. But I had a top secret clearance, SITK. Yeah, I don't hold the clearance anymore. I can still be cleared for top secret, but I don't have it anymore. Sir Salas, yeah, all we're doing is we're just hanging out right now. I'm not working too much, but this is my kind of, you see my Linux environment on the left. On the right are just a bunch of screens and things that we're doing. I've got a Linux admin course that you can join. It's free. I've got a security engineering course that's also free. And, you know, we got a Discord with almost 4,000 people where you can go and hang out. There's a bunch of events and stuff. This is what I was saying, is all this stuff's free in here. The only thing that's not free is you can buy a book if you want, and you have to find that book to buy it. So, like, I don't, like, charge people. Like, you have to, like, you have to ask somebody where that book is to buy it. Now, it's over on LeanPub. But the point is, like, I don't charge anybody for anything up front, right? If you want to do the book, you could later. But that's more like when you want to go a little deeper in some of these Linux topics, right? So for you guys, like, I just want people to get in here and, you know, you can ask the guys, man. There's like 4,000 people in here. You can ask them if I just sit around and charge people stuff. That's not the point of it. The point is to get other people into doing Linux systems with us, right? So get in here, do it, have fun. Maybe some people have made some good friends. People have been down here hanging out with Cole for a while. He's been meeting a lot of people. I don't think he's left this channel in like 5 or 6 days. He's just been down there working like for days and days. I think he's looking for work. So, yeah. So you guys can get in there, and there's all kinds of stuff going on in the Discord. So, yep, just fun stuff. Fun times, right? Fun times trying to get into sysadmin work if you're not in sysadmin work. Trying to get into engineering if you're not in engineering. Trying to learn some of the tools of the trade. Yep, that's kind of what we do around here. So got a bunch of Linux labs up on Killer Code. Killer Code is like the best free site on the web, guys. And you can go there. You don't even have to do our labs. There's hundreds of labs from other people, but my labs are there for you guys to do. So are Fisherman's labs. His labs are really good. And yeah, there's all that stuff. Yeah, Robodom's telling you guys where the labs are. Yeah, get some merch too. Yeah, Robodom, I'm still working on the merch. Some of the guys want a sudo-i one, so I'll probably make one of those. And then I'll just keep building stuff up over there. People find stuff that they like over time, I'm sure. I think the goal is just to have things that we find amusing, and then hopefully other Linux guys also find them amusing, and then they'll, you know, do all the Linux and Linux is the way and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Roadom, if you wait, I'll bring one to scale next year. So I'm definitely going to scale next year. I missed it this year. I was busy. I think was that? Yeah. I was doing something that weekend too, but I'm going to make it the priority for next year. For sure I'm going. So maybe I'll make, you know, because Robodom, here's the thing about getting into any of these talks, right? Whenever you want to do a talk at those things, it's got to have some like niche appeal. Like it's got to be something that like everybody's like, oh, I want to hear that thing, that cool thing. So I'm gonna have to throw in like HPC, and what I'll do is I'll say something like running a HPC in your home lab, like a high performance compute, and then I'll do like building out Werewolf and probably focus on the Werewolf components, and then I think that would probably be something that people are like, oh, that's really interesting, because that's kind of straddling these industry things that I'm doing that are also like kind of valuable, right? Like, again, we're doing it for a lot of big companies, a lot of big customers, and my company's pretty good at it. So we're doing it for, like, we get a lot of recommendations from Dell, and they have us just like, they tell their customers, hey, you buy all the stuff from us, but go get this Redline company to build up everything. So yeah. Yeah, but I would want to make it, something that people liked. I would probably do something like building out the ProLUG lab, like how did we do it, and then maybe show what the lab looks like, and that might be kind of fun. But most of you guys that have been around know I'm less interested in fun. I'm much more practical, right? That's the engineer in me. That's the college professor. Like, I want it more to be like informative and do something than, rather than just being like entertaining. I mean, I could just be sitting here telling jokes and work on my Type 5 for the comedy club, but that's not really the Anybody know where I got that from? Are you working on your Type 5 for the comedy club? And if you know what show it's from, do you know what episode of that show it's from? Here, I'll give you a hint. He says, "Are you working on your Type 5 for the Comedy Store, Morty?" That's what he says. But do you know what episode it's from? How many classes do I teach? I just teach 2 at a time right now. I've taught as many as 4 at a time, but I'm not looking to burn the candle at 4 or at both ends right now. I said the candle. Burn the candle at both ends. Why would I burn a camel? My stupid closed captioning makes me look so dumb sometimes. That's kind of funny. I was yawning, so that's probably what I said. But my closed captioning, sometimes we'll sit around here and try to get like my closed captioning. Sometimes not Michael's. I don't even know a Michael. I guess I do know a Michael, but anyways, my closed captioning will sometimes sit around and try to make it swear, but it won't do it. Like if I say PRON, it'll take away PRON. PRO to the nth degree. It won't say, that's not even a bad word. That's not even a bad acronym. All right, but it won't say it. There's a bunch. I've shown you guys this before. It'll say God. It'll even capitalize it. And I can say damn. I can't put those 2 words together. I'll fault because I look down every now and then, and every now and then I'll swear, and it won't write the swear. Like if I say shit, it won't write it. See that? Yeah, so I figured these out by just us messing around on here. Yeah, it's like our closed captioning stress testing. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's amusing to me. Also, it's super amusing to me that that's going up to Azure and coming back. And you say, how do you know for sure? I've lost network here before while I was streaming, and this stops working. I've lost networking when I wasn't streaming, but I wasn't talking. Like I don't leave this up when I'm not streaming to you guys. But I've lost network before while I was streaming, and this stops working until network comes back. So while some things might be locally processed, it also is sending up to Azure in real time for sure. So switch tabs into my putty. Scroll bar is burning into my top monitor. Sorry. Here, I'll move it down a little bit. How's that? Is that better? Burning into the top. Yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of crap from other engineers for just using putty. They're like, man, Scott, why don't you use like, oh, I got this cool terminal thing, and oh, I just switched this other terminal thing, and I'm like, look, man, I just use putty. It could be worse. I could use Windows terminal. There's a Microsoft Windows terminal that I can SSH out of if I wanted to. But really, I mean, any of you guys that know, what really happens in my home lab is this. When I go out, right? Like let's say this was me. Oops. Let's say this was me over here, And you know, this is what actually happens in my home lab. Is if I was sitting here, right? Scott Windows box, right? This is my productivity system or whatever. I'm never this is never doing anything except just connecting and from the Linux on the Linux side of things when I'm not talking to people. Oh my gosh, I don't know if you just heard them scream down there. And then once I get to here, I jump all over. So I do everything out of a jump box. Everything is just a screen session inside of the jump box. All this stuff right here, just me inside of the jump box. You know, wherever I'm gonna go, just something out of here. So this fracture, you know, goes everywhere. Well, you know, this is just a screen session to everything. So it's a no hup environment for people that yeah. What's Putty C? I don't know what Putty CM is, but guys, I'll tell you, there's all kinds of cool. One of the guys I used to work with, a guy on our server, Pico, and he sometimes hangs out in here. I don't think I've seen him on Twitch ever, but he hangs out down in the Discord because I've just known him from. I worked with him over at a company out here in Phoenix for a while. I got laid off from that company, in fact, which was the beginning of COVID, right? Like they let all the contractors go, and I had moved from my cushy job at AAA as the platform engineering lead. I moved over to that company, and then they let us all go as contractors. I was their Ansible architect, and they wanted to hire me and everything. But you know, when the company goes in a downturn because they do, you know, hotels and the travel industry stops because of COVID, it was pretty bad. But basically, tabs for Putty, nice. Yeah, I play it. I just use Putty by, you know, Putty here, and then all my tabs are just screen sessions, which also works nicely because, as I told you guys, like I can go, this is a laptop, right? This box that I'm on is a laptop. So I can go here and I can take this and go somewhere else. Like I can leave and connect in, right? So I can go out here. This actually happens sometimes. You guys have seen me stream like in other places, and I connect in to here. Oops. So I'll be out somewhere else on my laptop. I'll connect in here from the internet, but I'll just come in as my normal user, and then I shoot off from P01 Jump 01. So then this is more of like my connection right here, right? From anywhere, any Windows, you know, from anywhere in the world, I can get back to my system and connect in. Logically, it's flowing through here though, right? So it looks more like that when I'm outside. Yeah, I love screen. People have tried to show me TMUX, and I'm just not smart enough for TMUX. Control A works for me. Control B does not. I'm just kidding. But no, I can do enough. Oh, where I was going though, I didn't finish my thought with Pico. When I worked with Pico, he used to have all kinds of cool little fun stuff going on his monitors. He uses some kind of fun little thing. I haven't asked him. Maybe I'll ask him one day down in the Discord, but he'd probably be super happy to talk about it. But yeah, so that's kind of how my little Windows box can connect everywhere. And I tell you guys all the time, it doesn't matter how you get into a Linux system, as long as you're using Linux to do whatever you're doing, you'll be successful out in the career. Yeah, Mint, you remap it to Control A. Yeah, I've actually heard that before, because there's just a dot T. What's their config file? Just a dot T something, right? Because I tell people, like, I'm very vanilla, but there's one thing that I do have. Oh, geez, what just happened there? ls la dot screen. This is the one thing. Oh, look how old that file is. It's way older than that, I assure you. But this is just something I stole off the internet years ago from this guy Christian. I leave that in there because he wrote it. But this does all the screen stuff I want. This does my little bar across the bottom. So that's, I tell you guys, like, I don't care. I don't bring aliases with me. I don't bring scripts with me. I can jump into any system because I get dropped into a lot of different systems that I don't have any of those things. And I'll just work directly like a madman, directly in the command prompt. But this is the one thing, if they'll let me, I bring this with me. It's the only thing I do. Even if I just have to copy it and VI it. This is the one I love right here. So, and I take the whole thing too. I give them credit everywhere it goes. But yeah, it just gives me this across the bottom, so I love it. Doesn't screen way too long. Half my TMUX bindings are just how screen did it. Yeah. I've heard good things about Emacs. One of the guys who I sometimes hang out in his stream he does all Emacs the whole time, and then he's got a little bot that just runs. He's never on stream. What is his name? Why can't I think of his name? I raid him every now and then. But he just runs like a little bot program. Yeah, Clonk. Yep, L:Q, which he goes by Clonk most of the time. Clonk, CLO. Anyways, doesn't matter. Yeah, he does all Emacs. Yep. He's a programmer. He and I have talked a few times. I think he stopped around his doctorate. I don't think he finished. I think his significant other, she might have. I don't know. I think she might have finished hers. I don't remember the whole story, but he and I have talked about it. But I know that he was working on it, and he's like, I don't really care about this. I think he just kind of stopped. But he's an academic. He's real good. He's real good with his stuff. If you guys ever watch his stuff. He was last a defense contractor doing Haskell and now streaming full. Yeah. I remember he got. I remember him. Man, I wasn't in the stream when he got partner, but no, he got partner pretty quick, and then he's probably averaging like 200-300 people now when I hop on there. So yeah, nice. Oh, I've never been in his Discord. One of the bad things about Discord is like you'll get. Man, like I try to stay like in a minimal amount of Discords, and that's not because I'm trying to be a jerk to other people. It's just, it's so hard to keep messages down on Discord. And then you go to a Discord and then you're overwhelmed because there's too much stuff. So I try to limit it so that I can be around ours. But I do think his would probably be pretty good stuff. Yeah. I could stream full time. I don't think I could have my wife and stream full time though. Oh, I'm just kidding. Robe Dom, you said on Do Not Disturb. That's funny. Mint. So we have. So it's kind of interesting. So let me show you guys the course because that's a good question. So we have. In the Linux sysadmin course, we got 122 say they're coming. And in the security engineering course, we have 92 say they're coming. Now, there's an hour break in between the courses because I talk for an hour in this one and then an hour in this one. But the Linux sysadmin course tends to have about 40 to 50 people, even though that's how many people say they're interested. And then the Linux security engineering course has had about 40 to 50 people in it as well, even though there's less people. So, I mean, it's pretty good. I'd say there's probably like 40 to 50 that have been showing up, and then how many are actually seriously doing it starts to drop off because we go to the ProLUG no, not ProLUG engineers, ProLUG projects. Sorry, went to the wrong one. In here in the ProLUG projects, you'll see how many people are serious by going back to the week that just ended, and I'm too far back. In the week that just ended, we only had 42 total messages, which at most could be 21 people. That's for the other course. For the security course, there's been 49 messages, one post and then one response, right? and then 32. So only 16 could have possibly done this if that's how many are actually there. Which I go and I tally them up at the end when people send me stuff. I go make sure they do all their stuff. But yeah, I mean, realistically, I mean, there's the numbers of people who say they're coming, and then the numbers that are actually doing it. Excuse me. And I would say that this number is probably close to about 20 people seriously doing it, and maybe about 40 people showing up. And I would say this is about maybe 8 or 9 people seriously doing it, and probably about 40 showing up for now. It'll drop off. This number will keep rising, but the number of people that actually show up and do the work will drop off significantly as we go. This always happens. You have your time to finish it. Want to do the security one at the same time? I was so deep in the LSA course. Yeah. I think, you could definitely do it. Half the problem was I was going hard and making myself make all the lab environments. Yeah. That'll do it too. You have the lab. Anybody that wants to can jump in the lab, and we don't have. I'm gonna write. So if we go to if we go over here, we have all the logging of every time somebody's ever logged in. But by the way, it won't be their IPs, so that'll be nice. But we have every time somebody's ever logged in. So let's go secure, and let's go, because you come in as root. But all the time people have ever been able to connect. Let's go root, and then let's say, maybe that's the string we'll look for. Right? So we just want session open for user root. And I have all this info of session open by root user. And then I would technically want that, and I would want to filter on that for, let's go back to root again, because I need a filter on this for hold on, should be secure. Oh, we need hammer. Can I search for both? No, I can't search for both. Let's search for just hammer, and then I want to see. Let's just do the IP. No, that's not going to work. So I'm going to have to do a different query string than this thing can do. But this shows the connections. Anyways, the point is, I'm gonna show how much usage we had in the lab during this, so then I can start to map that back to my capacity questions, because I have this capacity stuff that I did. Where's our presentation? Shit, I don't even know where I put this. So we had I think I called it ProLUG. Shit, I don't even know where I put it. Hold on. This was from... Super fucking annoying that you can't see the mouse. Hold on, do I have the capacity? Yeah, so I did this ProLUG operational meeting, right? And this is the capacity of our system, but I don't have, get out of here. I don't have the usage of the system though. All right, now I gotta, oh, fuck it, I don't care. But I don't have the use, so this is capacity numbers, right? But it's not like usage numbers. I want to get usage numbers of how much people have done. So. Yeah, Mint. That's always possible. I mean, we can always have, and I always encourage you guys, like, with some of this stuff, especially like here in the Discord, a lot of this stuff, a lot of these events are people driven. So like the security engineering study group, the writer's room, the bash stuff. This is all stuff that other people have driven, right? Like I've just kind of gotten out of everybody's way, and that's the goal. Is I really want the group to just be, self-sustaining, right? Like where people are. I tell people all the time, it's not the Scott show. It doesn't have to be all about me. It's more about you guys all hanging out and getting in here and doing this stuff. So yeah, Robodom, it's getting there. I think people are doing good stuff, right? And I'm just kind of hanging out and hoping to sell a whole bunch of merch one day to everybody. No, I'm just kidding. Right? But the point here is we have the info. I just need to build the queries and pull that stuff out. Loki stores stuff for more well over 6 months. So I've never actually looked at how much Loki. Hold on. I've never really looked at how much Loki has. Like I don't know how far back it goes. I know it's more than 6 months, but let's go for the last year. Let's do 90 days. So somewhere past 30, but less than 90 maybe. Yeah, always got to cash out on the cred. Yeah, yeah. I tell the wife all the time, man. The goal for me. Hold on, let me turn my. I'll turn my closed captioning back on. Hold on, let's put this up. I tell the wife all the time. The goal isn't to like get rich. The goal is just to pay the house off early. That's always the goal. The goal isn't to get rich. The goal is just to pay the house off early. So, and the wife retires in 4 years and 10 months. So when she retires, she'll only be 52 when she retires, but I tell her all the time that I'm going to retire too, and she's like, well, only if this is done and that's done. And I'm like, well, the house will be paid off the year after, but um, but I would like to do it faster, so that's kind of the thing. Yeah. No, Robodub, she's got a lot of time left in her, hopefully, and we travel a lot now. Her and I travel a fair amount now. I get to travel for work, and I get to travel with her because she's trying to hit. She's got like 6 more states to hit her 50 states before 50. That was a goal that she didn't start until she was like 44 or something. So she's been like hammering out the states that she hadn't been to. So I have no goal like that, but I also have 7 more years. So I'm not really that concerned with hitting all the states. I think I've been to like 30 of them, and I'm cool with Phoenix, Arizona. I don't need to travel too much. I was just in California a couple weekends ago, but I drove out there for a wrestling thing. But so if anybody's here late and wondering what I'm doing, I am hiding out upstairs because my wife is having a bunko night downstairs. Don't ask. It's too much to explain. And then we're just hanging out up here talking about the ProLUG, which is our professional Linux users group, which is mostly just a bunch of people who don't act professionally. Well, sometimes we do. And the goal is to get people into doing this stuff professionally, like getting paid to do Linux, right? That's the main goal. So you're welcome to hang out. Welcome to join the Discord. I know Robodom's been posting the Discord a lot for everybody and posting the labs and all that good stuff. And a lot of times I work on all that stuff. I'm not super motivated right now, guys. I taught a college. Well, I worked all day and then I taught a college class. So I'm really just kind of hanging out right now. Just kind of hanging out, watching the system run. We made sure that the servers are working for everybody that wants to join in. Yeah, Robodom, we're semi-professional. Yeah. I actually was trying to make a logo the other day because I do a lot of stuff in GIMP, just messing around. And one of the things that I was going to do was, because we're the professional Linux users group. We often say like do all the Linux. We have these little fun emojis and I don't know, emotes or whatever they're called. And one of the things that I was trying to make for like a little bag was, because we're the professional and unprofessional Linux users group, or we're the mostly professional Linux users group. I couldn't make it fit the way I kind of wanted. I couldn't really it was funny in my head. It just wasn't as funny when I was trying to execute it, you know. And that happens. That happens. You're like, oh, that's really funny. I got to write that down, and then you're like, that's not nearly as funny as I thought it was. Yeah, yeah, it was fun little idea for like a little starter thing. So hmm. Yeah, Mint. I might. So one of the things I was doing last night, I was building out a just our plan for like how we're gonna do Keycloak, and I do need to get our authentication updated. So if I get our authentication, because currently for people that don't know, I give you guys a username and password, and it's universal. And for me, that's secure enough because I still have people's IPs. I still track everything, right? Like I show you guys that I can track all this stuff, and you guys still come in through a bastion, and you're still jailed users, and then you get kicked over to your environment and all that stuff, and that's cool. But yeah, it would be if I were to update that and revamp it so people could come in through just whatever Gmail or whatever they wanted, because that's what I could do with Keycloak. That would be a good little project for me to work through next. And then, yeah, Mint, if people connected here or connected somewhere else, it would actually be irrelevant. Because in the big scheme of things, wherever you're actually doing the compute, it doesn't matter where you're at. Like I was saying, how, guys, I hop in systems all over the world from this box, right? Like I can go anywhere because I just, understand. And then you say, well, isn't that going to be hard to have, 100 people in? Yeah, fucking text terminal sending messages. We could have 10,000 of those connected to these, and it wouldn't matter. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. The processing and stuff on the end nodes is going to run out way faster, but the connections through, oh no, you get thousands of those through a box, even in a bastion jail. It's nothing because it's literally just. I mean, you're spending more in the cryptography for your SSH sessions, and that's nothing. That's nothing either. That's just the most expensive thing in the whole scheme of things is the SSH computations, but they're not doing that much. So yeah, so we have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff that we're working on. It could Mint, or what I would do. This is just my thoughts on it. Mint is we would have keys internal because like what we do here is you would come in through. Oh, hold on, I gotta sneeze again. Oh man. So you drop. Um, whoops, home streamer. So this is the jail, right? And then in the jail, we got this cluster key, right? And this cluster, but you might think, oh, well, somebody could steal the cluster key, and then they would be able to use it to get in the cluster. And you're like, well, yeah, but the cluster key is only valuable once you're inside the bastion, right? Plus, the users are jailed behind our. Uh, Whoops, is it up one more? Here we go. In here, they're locked in here, so they actually never have control of the key. This is a shell that they're locked into, right? Well, where I'm going with that is, we could have keys from here for everybody's cluster, and then you would federate authentication in, drop into your jail, keyed out to wherever you go. You never actually handle your key. You couldn't take your key and go anywhere. Plus, the connection would only allow connections from this central bastion. So that would be a thing that we could do, Mint, if we wanted to. IO fault I have not, but I don't know if you guys know, but I can't I can't I can't with that guy. That's all there is. That's all I can say about it. I just can't. But no, I haven't seen. I heard somebody said something about a site the other day to me. It might have been you. I'm not. Look, I'm not like gonna sit around and shit on anybody. I just that's not an engineer I could have worked with in my career. So no, I have no doubt his stuff's cool. Probably check it out. Um, I like looking at cool shops with good ideas, but no, I'm just not a fan of him. Not even in the least. So, anyways, I try not to be too negative on stream. I try to just focus on what we're doing, but um, yeah. So we'll get the authentication updated one of these days. It hasn't been a major priority. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I just, without getting off on a rant, because I try not to be one of those self-important guys that do that, but I just I try to focus on, like, I try to tell people, like, there's infotainment and then there's like education, and I've never personally been interested in the infotainment side of things. Like, I'll sit around here and mess around and stuff, but like that's just me messing around on here. That's not um, yeah, that's not in my mind, like, trying to be like that. Anyways, it's a long story, but um, I can move this back up. I don't think it's gonna kill anybody's monitor. All right, let me think. So we got the bastion. Oh, and we're doing bastions because, I often show you guys this, and I often allude to setting up bastions, but we're actually doing it in week 4 of the security course. So for people that haven't built a bastion host out before, or are like, well, what the heck's a bastion? Well, hopefully it'll demystify some of it for you guys. Do I do a lot of Ceph? No, so the one time I professionally did Ceph was when I was still back at AAA. And that's CEPH, for not for you, for my closed captioning. We did it so we were bringing in OpenShift at the time. This was probably about 6 years ago. We were bringing in OpenShift because we were starting to do Kubernetes workloads, and we didn't really know how we wanted to do it. So we were trusting Red Hat to have a good solution, which OpenShift was more infant than it is now, I guess. Let's say that. And there were 2 options that were brought to us. They had just recently bought Ceph, like a couple years before, and they had that's CEPH, and then whatever, CEPH. But then the other thing that they had just bought was Gluster, and so they had Gluster and Ceph. Oh my gosh, GLUSTER and CEPH. So it had those, and those are the 2 things that they had bought recently, Red Hat, and they weren't even owned by IBM yet. In fact, they got bought by them in, was it 2019? Yeah. So Gloucestershire. Yeah. So what happened was, in the original OpenShift, they were like, "We'll pick what you want to use." So me and my brother were setting it up, and we did a cluster with Gluster as the backend, and we did a cluster with Ceph to test, right? To, like, just to see how they kind of worked. And when we got into doing the Ceph, so Ceph is what they were on now, I believe. and that's CEPH. But when we did Gluster, I remember it was interesting. They're like, hey, Gluster has this tool underneath called Rook, and Rook is going to go ahead and allocate. It was like part of like their chain to do your PVCs and your so your permanent what is that? It's your permanent virtual. What's the storage things called? PVSs and PV. Somebody help me out here. In Kubernetes, what are those called? Permanent. I'm thinking PVCs like permanent virtual circuits, but it's not. It's a storage. It's the oh god, what are they called? Anyways, the point is, it used Rook to allocate them in Gluster, right? And when we were talking to Red Hat, they were like, well, we don't support the Rook part. And we're like, well, how the hell is that an enterprise solution that you guys have went? So some of you guys know when you build things as engineers, you're using tools from companies, and sometimes you're using beta, sometimes you're using alpha stuff, and then sometimes you're using stuff that's called what the hell is that called? It's not going gen. It's going. Somebody help me out here. What the hell is that term? My brain's not working because it's too late. But there's a term for that. It means generally available. GA. You go GA, right? So you go generally available for everybody. And they had this GA solution, meaning that it's available to everybody, but part of the solution, which was the underlying Rook, was not supported by them. And we're like, how is that enterprise GA then if you don't have... Did I just say GA and it said Georgia? Anyways, how is it enterprise GA if you're not going to... Right? So that's the thing. Hey, Blaze, how's it going? Hopefully this stuff's useful to you guys. We're talking about... I was asked about Ceph recently. Hack the Plant. BlazeBits, we watched... You're going to be mad. Me and the wife watched Hackers last night. And, yeah, from 95. And, man. Oh. We finished it. You know. I just feel like it's not what I remember. Let me just put it that way. As a guy who's done Linux for the last 22 years. Well, okay, yeah. Well, 95 Angelina Jolie is definitely... But the wife cuts hair, right? She does hair on the side. She's a help desk technician normally, but she does hair, and she was like, she's like, I can't stand the... But her and I both like Matthew Lillard a lot, so we were like, oh, okay, we'll watch the old thing for Matthew Lillard. But yeah, it's old school. But Raiders, welcome in. We are not working too hard tonight. I'm talking about our security engineering course that we run. And I was showing a little bit about Bastion hosts and how we build Bastion hosts out. And that's going to be coming. There's a scene in that movie, guys. For people who haven't seen that movie in a long time, there's a scene where he goes to give a disc back to a bad guy. You don't know he's a bad guy. Well, you know he's a bad guy, but he doesn't know he's a bad guy. Guys, that dude comes up in a limo. He gets out of a limo, gets on a fucking skateboard, holds onto the side of his limo, rides up, grabs the disc, rides down a little bit, gets back in his limo, and drives off. And I'm like, oh, hell no. Me and the wife are like, what the hell did we just see? Did that guy just... And then he's like walking around. He's like basically the CISO equivalent at his company. The Chief Information Security Officer equivalent. And he's carrying a skateboard around talking to people. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It was just like, it was great. But Matthew Lillard has had a great career. If you guys haven't watched most of his stuff, he was also in a movie back then called Scream, where hopefully I'm not going to ruin a movie that's 28 years old right now for anybody. But if you haven't watched Scream, spoilers, there's two killers, and he's one of them, and they're stabbing each other at the end, and he's like, I'm feeling woozy, man. I think you stabbed me too deep. Give me the knife. And his buddy doesn't give him the knife back. And we're like, what the hell? Yeah, he's a serial killer. That's funny. Yeah, there's been a lot of Matthew Lillard jokes over the years, especially around the What does he play? He plays in Scooby Doo. He plays the, I want to say Scruffy, but that's not his name. What the hell's that guy's name? Shaggy, Scooby and Shaggy, right? And he plays Shaggy, but Shaggy's never been over 3% of his real power. Yeah, yeah, Shaggy. There it is. Yeah, never over 3% of his real power, right? You've never gotten me past like he defeats everybody, and then that's like a whole and SLC Punk. That's true. He was in SLC Punk, and surprisingly, I don't know if any of you guys watched it, but there was a really good. I thought it was a really fun movie. Was he was in Five Nights at Freddy's. I thought that was a surprisingly good adaptation for what it was, right? I mean, they couldn't do all the games before in one movie, obviously, but I thought for what it was perfectly fine. So, um, but yeah, the security course, if we were to stop here, because everybody that came in is security focused, this is what I've got the guys doing. We've already done the standards and compliance for the first 2 weeks, and people already know how to do these two things. Next week is going to be user access and system integration with integrating Linux and enterprise identity and access management. And you might say, well, what's the difference between this up here and this down here? Well, this up here is like what the topic is, kind of the instructional area, and this down here is what you put on a resume. Because better than saying I took some course with some guys that do Linux, what would be better is to say I know how to integrate Linux with enterprise identity and access management frameworks, specifically SSSD to LDAP, right? Those kind of terms, one will get you past the little filters because those are terms that are on the whatever the admin or whatever thing you're trying to do, whatever job you're trying to get. But it's also something that the people that know, when you finally get back to talk to them, they're gonna be like, okay, well, what did you do? And you're like, well, I stood up a LDAP server, I set some users up, and then I connected to them with SSSD, and then I verified that my system allowed users to log in. And if you could do those things, and if you understand the components of those enough to talk about them in an interview, people are gonna be like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. This is good stuff right here. So. Quartz, you said you're tearing down a GCP instance group like load balancers and a GUI. Now I know why Terraform's a thing. Yeah, no doubt, Quartz. I've only used Terraform for AWS and Azure. I've never used it for GCP, but I can tell you that the provider's pretty good for GCP. I know that that works well. So, yeah. One bad thing about Terraform, or one, it's not a bad thing, it's one limitation. You got to know the limitations of your tools, right? One limitation of Terraform is if it wasn't deployed with it, you're definitely not going to be able to tear it down with it too. So that's kind of a thing. Also, another thing is, well, while you can modify things with Terraform, I have only seen I've only used Terraform well to tear and like build whole deployments and destroy whole deployments. I don't use it when I have to modify in between. I've never used it for that. Like I've heard of people like changing things and I'm like, that's too much for me. Yeah, Robodom, I appreciate you coming by. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, Robodom, you know, there's no attendance around here. Yeah, open tofu. Yeah. Can I just say one thing? I'm not trying to be negative, right? I feel like I was being too negative earlier because, but let me tell you this one thing about open tofu. There's just one caution I give people about open tofu. They are, hold on. I gotta go. So I have to show you guys this. Oh, no, hold on. Oh, where the hell am I? Oh. Whoops. I thought I had... Oh, open lava. I don't have that either, huh? Open lava, Wikipedia. Let me start with this. Because this is important to what I'm about to tell you. So this is my one thing that I want to caution people with Open Tofu is this. There was a company. So there used to be a thing called LSF. Yeah, so Platform LSF is what IBM has. But before that, it was called it was Platform LSF that they bought. But before that, it was anyways, they took it closed source, right? Because they bought it. And this company and some of the engineers that were part of that team, they started Open Lava, right? And IBM sued the piss out of them, right? And they lost. And they said TerraProc, who had started this Open Lava, had violated a bunch of stuff and taken confidential proprietary source code. Some of them were working for IBM. Here's what it was: Spectrum LSF, right? And they said that they had taken a bunch of it, and so they won in court, right? Hold on. Well, I'm going somewhere with this. Open Tofu is a fork from Terraform, right? And it still uses the HashiCorp language under the hood, which is the one thing that I have always thought was weird. If they were going to fork, I feel like they need to start taking... But where I'm going with that is this. Who owns Terraform now? IBM bought HashiCorp last year, right? Or a year and a half, 2 years ago now? Yeah, so IBM owns them. And they have already threatened at least 2 times to Open Tofu. There's been letters... HashiCorp sends letters to cease and desist, and you've taken our stuff. And I'm just going to tell you, it looks a lot like this. And if you guys don't know, IBM will bring their full weight of everything on anybody that F's with any of their stuff. So when it was just HashiCorp, I was like, oh, Open Tofu, it's a split and it's interesting. But I'm just telling you guys, if that project shuts down one day, it's because something like this is probably happening to it. And I was working with Platform LSF from IBM when this happened, because we were looking at using the Open Lava. That's how I knew about this, because I was working with this tool when it happened. Right. But anyways, that's something just so that you guys know. Yeah, they've sent multiple. So watch, like HashiCorp. Yeah, look. So, like, just so you know, like, this is, when you send this, that is more than just like, hey, we want you to stop. That's like the next thing is we're going to court. And I'm telling you, they're owned by IBM now, guys. IBM is as bad as Ma Bell. If you guys know what Ma Bell was. Got divestiture in 1982, right? But anyways. Oh yeah, look, all the internet. Look here we go. Here's all the internet. Go read this if you want to know what the internet lawyers thought about it, because I'll tell you what, none of those internet lawyers are not going to get in there. Yeah, they're not as bad as Ma Bell. Ma Bell used to hold up. I don't know if you guys know this, but they sued. So MCI tried to put wireless on the phone lines. So let me ask you guys this. Actually, I'll ask you guys a question here. And by the way, I'm a classically trained telecom engineer from DeVry. My bachelor's degree is in network communication management, but the underpinnings of my degree were the old telecom degree that DeVry had been teaching for 40 years. So I'm like one of the last classically trained, like I was trained on PBXs and all that stuff. Where I'm going with that is, when do you guys think that the first company tried to put wireless on? Hold on. Actually, I'll make a little poll here. Let's make a poll for... I'm going to make a poll. I haven't made a poll in a long time. So when do you think a company first tried to put wireless on the phone? Tried to wireless phones. Before... Hold on, before 1950. I want to see what you guys think, and you can go Google it if you want. I don't think Google knows this one. Well, maybe it does, but there you go. This is just a poll, and then no additional 5 minutes. You guys got 5 minutes. How long? How long do you think? How long ago do you think that people tried to put wireless onto the phone system? The phone system's been in the U.S. since the 1870s, late 1870s, right? Early 1880s or so, somewhere in there. How long ago did somebody try to put wireless on that? Oh, okay. So you want to? I'll be a little more clear. And it was wireless to go between. It was to go over a river. And well, and I'll tell you, it was MCI that did it, or tried to do it, and then they got sued by Ma Bell. Well, the Bell company, what we called Bell. Vietnam radio back. Well, it was to cross a river. When do you guys think they first tried to do it? And then I don't remember how long that they were tied up in court, but it was over 40 years. That this was blocked and stopped. When do you guys think? Yeah, when do you guys think a company tried to make the phone system that had been in the U.S. since like the 1880s, let's say, have an implementation of wireless on it? No. Well, so then we'll say, well, it was a different MCI then. Don't worry about who the company was. When when it first went to, that is funny though that you guys are looking it up, but no, it's 100% before any of you think. I could actually split that out even further, I think. 1917 or 1919, I can't remember. That was the first time that they took somebody to court for trying to put wireless on the phone line. Yep. It was like 1917. It was during World War One or around World War One. No, it's after flight. It's a long effing time ago though. that they did so much to stop innovation of communications that because if you guys think about it, I mean, we've only had like wireless in our hands for maybe like the people that could afford it in the 80s, right? Yeah. It's funny, me and the wife were at Kitty Hawk a couple of years back. We went out there for a wedding. And we were like, Kitty Hawk. We passed the sign. We were only about 20 minutes away from where the wedding venue was, and we're like, Kitty Hawk, we should know that. I'm like, what is that? And then we're like, oh, we'll go down to the Wright Museum we went down. We had a day, so we went down. It was like a whole wedding party for like 3 days, and we had like a day before the wedding. So her and I went down and went and saw it and did all the walk and stuff. It was pretty cool. If you guys have never been to Kitty Hawk, that's super cool. And then I found out from going to Ohio, I didn't know this, but so they did the initial flight down there in Kitty Hawk, and then all the other stuff that's happened in flying and like all the other innovations in flying happened up in Ohio after that. So like Ohio's kind of, they're not like the birthplace of flight, but they're like the cradle of it. They're all the stuff after, like all the altimeters and all that other stuff was made up there. It's kind of interesting. Like all the boards for the I don't know, all that crap. But anyways, yeah, because I was up there. The Air Force Museum's up there too. So I wasn't working far from the Air Force Museum when I was in Ohio earlier this year. I was building 3 high performance compute systems up there for a government customer. So yeah. I can still hear the ladies down there. I thought they did 7 to. Sounds like they're going late tonight because it's like 9:12 and they're still going. So I'm just hiding up in my little bell tower up here, away from all the bunko. That's the name of the game the wife's playing. It's called Bunko. Yeah, it was definitely before 1930. Well, apparently, I think they were also from there. I think they had, they moved back up there. So it's interesting. So when you walk the place where they actually flew in Kitty Hawk, you think, oh, hey, there's that big hill over there. They flew off that hill. No, they actually flew from the ground up, achieved their flight, and then came back down, and that's why it counted. If they had just floated off the side of that hill, like there's a big ass hill, and you're like, that's a pretty big hill. Yeah, I could see somebody getting some, large enough wings and just kind of floating off of that. But no, they actually went, and they had a rail system that actually propelled them. So they had to, and it's interesting too. Like at the thing, they were like engineers. I actually have, hold on, I have pictures of this. Hold on. It's in, I think it's off topic. Huh. See if I have flight. Who knows what other stuff might be up there. Yeah, we were at the flight museum. Yeah, this was my pictures from there. Did I not spell W-R-I? I thought I spelled it W-R-I-G-H-T. I thought I did. But anyways, I must not have put in the thing. But they had these problems, right? But I wanted to show you guys this if I have a picture of it. Because these guys were engineers. They didn't even have high school. One of them didn't even pass high school. But I wanted to show you guys there. I don't have it. I don't have it here anyways. Those guys were engineers. They were through and through. The way that they have their notebooks, right? And they're, oh man. So I don't know if you guys know, but if you go to commands here, there's an objection command in here. You guys can launch an objection. I actually need to make that generate and then pop up on screen like the objection. But if you do like objection, I can say, yeah, I'm objecting to Robodom. And then only me, I can say overruled. Or I can, yeah, we haven't joked around about that in here for years, but yeah, I have that all set up. I need to make him actually pop up. But they were really, yeah, the last 80 or 852 feet in 59 seconds. Yeah, I haven't. That's super funny. All right. Anyways, yeah, that's all that. Scumbags and villainy. So, I don't have anything else to do in the lab. The systems are all up. If all the systems are up, I don't have anything to fix. I don't want to build anything because I'm not looking forward to tomorrow. I'm just going to go sit down at the army base all day until I get a card. I've never used Authentic, no. I've never played with it. Oh. Installation for open source and that are the same. You can just go Docker compose, set up some stuff internally on 9000 and 9443 to change the exposed port. We can change that. So I can change the exposed port and then share them through if we wanted to use something like this. And I think you guys know I run full Kubernetes in here. Not over here, hold on. Huh, I changed my password, really? Because I locked these boxes down. Anyways, oh, come on. It's still keys, but you have to put the password. That's stupid. But that is the way I locked them down because I wanted to harden these boxes. All right. Anyways, I'm dumb. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm on 128. So I'm a few versions back, but it's not too bad. And then this is where I run. This is where I run all the stuff for the website out of here, right? But no, I haven't even messed with this at all. Let's go look at what this thing can do. Oh. So we could reverse proxy box information. That's not bad. All right. Oh, we could do outbound from our air gaps. Sure, people would like that, so they can just pull their files down. Okay, yeah, that's. I have never played with that. Yeah, I run amok. I haven't played with that. It looks interesting. It doesn't look terrible to set up either. I mean, they mostly just want you to either Docker Compose or Kubernetes the whole thing. So that's pretty reasonable. I wouldn't do all this. I would do it over on Kubernetes. Yep. All right. Yeah, I haven't played with it. I'll leave that up and I'll mess with it. Have you guys been using it? Yeah, run amucker. That's the reason I run it too. Mint is so that I know. Yeah, so I know what's going on with stuff. I've never seen that tool. Yeah, I set up Keycloak last night on here to run amucker. I was running that in the home lab, so I'll compare them. In the base lab, so in the base course, we'll do an open LDAP setup probably, and then, but maybe we'll look into that. Maybe this will be the thing we use in the home lab. We'll see how easy it is to get it up on Kubernetes, and then if I get it on Kubernetes, I can easily expose it, and then if I expose it, then it's, yeah, it'll be interesting. I can hear my wife telling everybody to buy downstairs, so that means that it's almost done. Oh gosh, it's gonna be 92 tomorrow in Phoenix. Oh gosh, summer started. 92 already? Good lord. Yeah. I think we were already up there earlier this year, but then we cooled off again. Yeah, some of you guys out east, man, you guys are getting cold, and it was snowing. Somebody was saying earlier today it was snowing in New York, because So I get on a call every morning for NOAA, right, the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Agency. So I work with them, and some of the guys are all around, and some of the guys were like legitimately in snow. Like some of the guys were snowed in, not quite snowed in. They can get out. They got trucks for it, but some of the guys were like actually just getting snow. It was snowing in Michigan. Okay, okay. Iowa Fault. I think I might have told you, or I tell you guys whenever you mention Michigan. My family's all from there. We were in Detroit when it was founded. So, in fact, if you go to Detroit, well, one, there's a park with my last name on it, named after one of my great grandparents, and then there's like pages of us in the phone book. So, of the Champines. So there's a lot of us. Yeah, it spelled my name wrong, but that's fine. Yeah. It's right on Lake Huron. Right as you I want to say it's off a 12 mile. It's called Champagne Park. Champine. It's named after one of my great grandparents. Yep. Yeah, interesting things I learned last time I was in Michigan, and I guess I probably could have guessed this, but most people probably think Maine has the most lighthouses in the U.S. of any state, but Maine's not even close to Michigan. I think Michigan has like 100 more than them because they have the Great Lakes all around Michigan, so they have hundreds of them. Yeah, like they're all, and we went to the first one. The first one is right there on, it's right at Lake Huron, right at like there's a Canadian border right there, and that's the first one. And then we were there for a wedding too. It's actually funny. Most of the time, me and the wife go anywhere, it's for a wedding, and and that was just kind of a funny thing. Um, how many have we seen at the same night before? I've only been to like 4 of the lighthouses. The wife wants to go sometime. She's never been to the Upper Peninsula, so she wants to go with me to the Upper Peninsula sometime, and then and just kind of go, not Pennsylvania, Upper Peninsula, and then hang out up there. Accidentally go to Canada. Yeah, it's right. It's literally right there. You just turn and there's a right at the base of that bridge. There's a Coast Guard station, and then right next to the Coast Guard station is the first lighthouse, and that lighthouse they've measured waves there coming off of Lake Huron that were, I want to say they said like 60 something feet, and I'm just like that, and it had washed the original one away, I think, but it's just wild that. Uh-oh. Looks like I've lost the network. Did I lose you guys? Am I back? F for the stream. I don't think I'm back yet. Maybe I'm back. All right. Looks like OBS was having a problem there for a second. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. It's trust me, the stream cut out for me too. So yeah, OBS had to reconnect. So hopefully you guys can hear me again. It never looked like it cut out over on the other side though, but yeah, all right. Well, yeah, so it looks like a whole new stream then. That's fun. Well, guys, what I'm gonna do, I'll find somebody to raid. We're gonna get out of here. I appreciate you guys coming by. The next couple nights, I'll be working on getting the security engineering course ready for the weekend. So that's kind of what I'll be working on. I'll probably be building out some of these. This seems like a cool little tool. We might play around with this. We're gonna play with this and probably play with the other stuff, and then see if there's any cool tools. Yeah, Blaze, oh, you just got back. Oh, Yeah, no, you didn't. You didn't miss too much. I mean, the thing that I was saying you guys were probably mostly interested in is the security engineering course that I've been running, and mostly I was showing like the STIG standards, or I've been showing the guys STIG standards and how to do them with government systems, and this is like a manual report, but when we automate the remediation of it, it makes it a lot better. Um, we automate the remediation of them, and then we pull the STIG reports, and then this is like blue teaming stuff. I was showing the guys, and then I'm gonna do a red team version of my course. So this is the security side. This is the blue team stuff, right? Like protecting the systems, and then I'm gonna show the red stuff. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, Blaze. If I didn't have a lot of that stuff automated, I would not. I would not be able to hang with it for sure. But it's better. It's better now. Hold on, let's see. Did we lose? I'm gonna see if my. It's weird. My Twitch doesn't show my number of viewers, so like that's not coming back. But yeah, this is the course, and then the book. So Blaze, you probably never seen. The guys put together these. What they do is they build these inside of. They build the books here inside of GitHub, and then they generate them to these pages, right? So the books are here, and the security one's not done yet, but then you can go here and you can just go look at, the first 2 weeks are done for this one, but I'm still building the course as we go. But the Linux administration course one is done, and the guys built it out. They did a really good job, and then all my recordings are on here. So as I did the recording each week, they put the recordings from GitHub. Yeah, the guys worked really hard. I would say they've probably put. I don't know that I would say. Well, probably through all of them, hundreds of hours, if I had to say. But also, like in my mind, one of the cool things, I hadn't seen this page. This is cool. The cool thing about this for these guys is some of them are trying to get in the industry, right? So like, hey, do you have anything on your resume? Oh yeah, I helped write this course. Oh, where's the course? Boom. And they can. And I told the guys, man, as long as I know you, if you tell me somebody's gonna, I'll tell you guys the same thing. I've had over 5,000 college students, right? I tell my college students the same things I tell you guys. I won't lie for anybody. Like I don't lie for anybody. But if you've been working on something and you tell you want somebody to call me, I will tell them the truth. I will jazz you up as like, hey, yeah, this guy was doing this. I won't lie, right? I won't lie for you. But like if you're, part of this effort and you've been working on this stuff, yeah, fucking tell people to call me. Use me, use me as a reference. I don't care. I'll put all kinds of titles that are real. They're my real titles of all the stuff that I've done. If you want, like, because people like that. And anyways, where I'm going with that is, you guys can definitely get more stuff on your resume, and they're still running these. The guys are still building these. They're down here, and they're still writing them every Sunday now at 4 p.m. Because one of the guys just moved to Japan from Canada, so it's a weirder time zone. I think that's like 7 or 8 a.m. for him now. So on Monday morning, so then that's the time that works for him. But yeah, they're still building those. And then we got the little bash study group for some of you guys, and then we got some conferences coming up. All this stuff in Discord's free, guys. So you're welcome to hang out and do all that. So, man, I lost a lot of viewers when that thing hiccuped. But we'll go raid somebody. We'll go find somebody to raid. Yeah, sorry I can't stick around longer. Oh, we'll go to Sid. I love Sid. I love raiding his stuff because he has the most fun raid. So if you guys want to, do all the Linux. And I will see some of you guys later on this week. Put my little end of stream thing up while we're waiting for the raid. I definitely appreciate you guys all coming by. Take care.